Comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide news at this hour, the country's media fraternity is mourning the loss of veteran journalist Owen James.
The opposition says a future PNP government will waive corporate income tax for new MSMEs.
We are going to waive corporate income tax for 3 years for new MSMEs.
Government to extend its NWC bill amnesty.
So that more Jamaicans who have not yet registered for the amnesty could get an opportunity.
Mocha arrests 8 suspects in $47 million scam at NCB in the last 24 hours.
Senate passes legislation to reduce the bureaucratic red tape plaguing Jamaica's public procurement system.
In news from the rest of the world, G7 ministers say Venezuelan aggression in Guyana's waters is unacceptable.
Canada will never be part of the U.S., says Mark Carney in his first speech as Prime Minister.
In headline sports, Premier League's leading marksman named in National Senior Men's Football for Gold Cup qualifiers against St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, the Public Procurement Amendment Bill to reduce the bureaucratic red tape plaguing Jamaica's public procurement system was passed in the Senate on Friday. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Aubin Hill, will join us.
In Public Opinion at 6:26, we ask, what is your reaction to the Inter-Miami Cavalier match on Thursday? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, Lionel Messi's Inter Miami dominated the Cavaliers 2-1 on Thursday evening to cheers from Jamaican fans. Does the country have a football fan culture? We'll hear from Reggae Girls coach Charlie Edwards and sports analyst Andrew Price.
And at 8, it's the A-Team with Dennis Brooks.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile Nationwide 90 FM, nationwideradiojm.com, and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. This Friday afternoon, it's Friday, March 14, 2025.
News at 5 is brought to you by Fostrich Company Limited, fostering rich customer service.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Veteran journalist Owen James has died. He died Thursday night after a long illness. Mahiri Stewart reports.
Owen James's career spanned 5 decades in both print and broadcast media. He began his illustrious journey in journalism at the Gleaner Company and later became the editor of The Star. But he was renowned for his business programs on Television Jamaica and CVM Television. These include A Ray of Hope, The Business Day, and The Business Review. Some of these programs remain staples on local television today. Other programs created by James are On a Personal Note, which garnered critical acclaim and resonated with audiences, particularly young people. One of his last programs was The Owen James Report. The Press Association of Jamaica, PAJ, has hailed the late Owen James as a pioneer in business journalism in Jamaica. In a statement, PAJ President Dashan Hendricks says James created these influential programs after recognizing the need for more comprehensive coverage of entrepreneurship and financial matters. The PAJ has extended its condolences to his family, friends, and colleagues. It says James's legacy as a mentor, innovator, and advocate for quality journalism will continue to inspire future generations of media professionals in Jamaica and beyond. Meanwhile, CEO of Nationwide News, Cliff Hughes, also credited James with filling what he described as a gap in local business journalism.
Owen, before he ventured into that particular niche of business reporting and analysis and commentary, was really a journalist's journalist, as a generalist. Yeah, he was good at politics, good at crime, social issues, education, law, justice, before he decided in later years to really satisfy what was an obvious gap in the Jamaican journalism landscape, and that was business reporting. We didn't pay much attention to honing our ability to assess and to report on business issues, and he realized that he had an ability.
He hailed James as a pioneer of Jamaican media.
One of the pioneers among those of us who have had the courage and the temerity to step out of our comfort zones as reporters and journalists and broadcasters to try and make a business of what God blessed us with in terms of our journalistic skills. And it has been rough. And Owen is one of those pioneers. And I know it became extremely difficult for him, but he's a trailblazer in that regard. A bright man, a very conservative man, but someone who was driven by good, decent principles.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has expressed condolences at the passing of Owen James. In a post to his social media account on Friday, Dr. Holness hailed James as a respected voice who dedicated his career to informing the public on critical and economic matters. The Prime Minister says his work has been instrumental in providing clarity on complex issues while helping to foster a culture of financial literacy. Dr. Holness says James will be remembered for his invaluable contributions to the growth and development of Jamaica's business landscape.
And the opposition PNP says it's joining the nation in mourning the loss of journalist Owen James. Opposition spokesperson on information Nikisha Burchell described James as a trusted voice who helped Jamaicans make sense of financial news with clarity and depth. Ms. Burchell credited his work for influencing how Jamaicans engaged with financial matters and understood the broader economic landscape. The PNP says it extends sympathies to James's family, friends, and colleagues.
In other news now, opposition spokesman on finance Julian Robinson says a future PNP government will waive corporate income tax for micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs, for their first 3 years of operation. This was one of a raft of measures Mr. Robinson promised would be used to boost the economic potential of the country.
Another issue for the MSME sector is the cumbersome regulations and the high compliance costs, which discourage MSMEs from formalizing and scaling their businesses. The process of registering, licensing, complying with tax obligations remains complex and costly for many of these entrepreneurs, forcing them to operate in the informal sector. Our commitment, Mr. Speaker, is that we are going to waive corporate income tax for 3 years for new MSMEs. We are saying to the MSMEs, go out there and build your business. Sell your services, sell your products. We want you to come in the formal sector. We don't want you to stay outside. And the reason we don't want you to stay outside is if you stay outside, you won't have access to funding.
Mr. Robinson was making his contribution to the budget debate in the House of Representatives on Thursday. The opposition spokesman says MSMEs form the backbone of society and must be supported. He also pledged to reform the Development Bank of Jamaica to allow easier access to loans for MSMEs.
Only 17% of MSMEs can access credit from banks, while 53% rely on personal savings to fund their operation. This lack of financing severely limits their ability to expand, to invest in new technology, or hire skilled employees. What will we do? The PNP will reform the loan structure at the DBJ to make DBJ loans more attractive to MSMEs. Now, the issue here is not the amount of money. In fact, there are many times here where, whether it's done in finance, that we see funds that are unspent by the DBJ. So the issue is not that providing more money is the answer. It is how do you make it easier for them to access it.
Julian Robinson, opposition spokesman on finance.
The government plans to extend the National Water Commission bill amnesty announced last year. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness made the announcement while speaking at a commissioning ceremony for pipeline projects in Runit and Middle Quarters in St. Elizabeth on Friday.
What we did as a government, recognizing the significant cost this is to your cost of living, is to put in place an amnesty and Minister Samuda would have given you some of the figures. The amnesty is going very well. Persons are taking advantage of it. They're coming in. They are clearing their debts. We have over 22,000 applications. And what I'm going to do, I'll announce it in the budget, but I can announce it here. We're going to announce the date of the extension of the amnesty so that more Jamaicans who are not a part, who have not yet registered for the amnesty could get an opportunity. Because we understand and we care.
The 3-month amnesty was launched on January 2. Under the program, all residential NWC customers that meet the criteria benefited from a 50% write-off of the amount owed on their NWC accounts. This is in addition to a waiver of the reconnection fee. Prime Minister Holness says the government implemented the amnesty due to the struggles Jamaicans without water face.
We recognize that water is an important and indeed critical part of the cost of living to the citizens. It's, for some, it could be a significant portion of your household income that you have to pay for water. And we know that there have been several households that have been deprived of the utility of water, and because of that, they have been disconnected from the system. But you can't live without water. So what you end up doing is paying more for water, because you're either going to have to go buy it from a truck, drive, go and get it, beg your neighbor, and then not having the water increases your inconvenience.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness.
The major organized crime and anti-corruption agency, MOCA, says 8 people have been arrested within the last 24 hours in connection with the $47 million scam at the National Commercial Bank, NCB. The suspects include 5 men and 3 women. Director of Communications at MOCA, Major Basil Jarrett, says all 8 suspects are expected to be charged shortly.
Between yesterday and this morning, we've arrested 8 more persons following a number of operations across Kingston and Clarendon. That brings the total arrests in this case to 12. The scam, which ran from April to June 2022, saw criminals targeting a number of NCB accounts and moving millions through fraudulent transfers. The latest arrests reaffirm our commitment to tackling financial crimes and holding perpetrators accountable. I also want to note the critical role that our JCF partners played in these operations. I'm also urging the public to stay vigilant when conducting online transactions and to report any suspicious activity to 888 MOCA TIP.
Major Basil Jarrett, Director of Communications for MOCA. These latest arrests followed searches of their premises in Whitehall Terrace, Kingston Gardens, Seaview Gardens, Stony Hill and Tavern in Kingston, as well as Longville Park, Clarendon Park and Maypen in Clarendon. Allegations are that between April and June 2022, over $47 million was fished from 16 accounts held at NCB and transferred to a number of beneficiaries' accounts. The monies were then withdrawn or transferred to other banks. Phishing refers to the fraudulent practice of sending emails or other messages purporting to be from reputable companies in order to induce individuals to reveal personal information such as passwords and credit card numbers. Cybercrime attackers posing as legitimate entities trick individuals into revealing sensitive information like passwords or credit card details.
A bus driver at the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, has been arrested in connection with the theft of diesel from the company's Spanish Town depot. Nationwide News understands the man was picked up by police personnel from the Counterterrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Branch, CTOC, on Friday morning. He was arrested on Chesterfield Road in Seaview Gardens. Our news center understands he was in the process of stealing about 300 liters of diesel fuel. When our news center spoke with the head of CTOC, ACP Anthony McLaughlin, he said he hadn't yet seen a report on the matter. This is the second arrest of a JUTC driver in connection with the theft of diesel oil in recent weeks. Last month, a driver was charged with larceny after he was caught stealing nearly 300 nearly 300 liters of fuel from the company. The latest arrest also comes just over a week after Transport Minister Darrell Vaz disclosed that the value of diesel stolen at the JUTC's Spanish Town depot alone amounts to more than $26 million per month. Vaz said the authorities continue to use disruptive efforts to minimize the theft. These include intelligence gathering, new and strict bus dispatch procedures, 24-hour police deployment on the depot, and ongoing operational collaboration with the police. He says the measures have resulted in the JUTC saving over $31 million.
You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
29 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 28 out west in Montego Bay.
Win with love. Use your JMMB Money Transfer Prepaid Visa Card from October 1, 2024 to June 30, 2025 for a chance to win your share of a $2.1 million grand prize, plus a $100,000 university cash grant and cash back from paying tolls and shopping with your card. Receive money 24/7 in minutes with Visa Direct via MoneyGram, Zoom, Remitly, or directly through RIA and Zoom. Visit jm.jmnb.com/money-transfer for full details on how to enter and win with love. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming, and Lotteries Act. Conditions apply.
Continuing the news, the Senate on Friday passed legislation to reduce the bureaucratic red tape plaguing Jamaica's public procurement system. The Public Procurement Amendment Bill was passed with unanimous support in the upper house on Friday. In piloting the bill through the Senate, Industry Minister Aubin Hill highlighted how Jamaica's bureaucracy has become a hindrance to growth.
Mr. President, the Procurement Act, which came into being in 2015, has proven to be a difficult piece of legislation to navigate in procuring products and services for government entities, even if in concept it was necessary. Many have complained quite bitterly, vociferously, publicly, and very often that it appears that the Procurement Act of 2015 seemed to have been based on the premise that all Jamaicans are not honest, while waving the banner of value for money and transparency.
Senator Aubin Hill, Industry Minister. Over the last 2 financial years, the government has failed to spend nearly $30 billion in capital expenditure. This was largely due to the inability to get projects off the ground through Jamaica's bureaucracy. Even the opposition has complained bitterly about the failure. Leader of Opposition Business in the Upper House, Peter Bunting, endorsed the need to simplify the procurement system, but he urged adherence to transparency and competitiveness.
It's not often that I find myself agreeing with Senator Hill on issues around bills, but as both of us come from similar private sector backgrounds, I very much appreciate the damage that unnecessary bureaucratic delays and administrative bottlenecks does to productivity of our economy. And particularly, although we're speaking to regulations and laws and rules relating to the public sector, it impacts the private sector. And so it is impatient of debate that anything that we can do to expedite and streamline this process is worthy of support.
Peter Bunting, Leader of Opposition Business in the Senate.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
The G7 countries on Friday condemned Venezuela's recent aggression in Guyana's waters as unacceptable. In a statement on Friday, foreign ministers of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, the United States, and the High Representative of the European Union, the G7, say Venezuela's actions infringes on Guyana's internationally recognized sovereign rights. On March 1, a Venezuelan Coast Guard boat motored through Guyana's waters off the Demerara coast and harassed oil extraction assets working for ExxonMobil, triggering an explicit warning from the U.S. about consequences if there is a recurrence. The G7 in its statement said Venezuelan naval vessels threatening ExxonMobil's floating production, storage, and offloading unit is unacceptable and a clear violation of Guyana's internationally recognized maritime territory. It says further provocation will result in consequences for the Maduro regime. The statement added that the United States has reaffirmed its support for Guyana's territorial integrity and the 1899 Arbitral Award. The G7 issued the statement following their March 12 to 14, 2025 meeting in Charlevoix, Canada.
Mark Carney says Canada will never become part of the U.S. in his first speech as the country's Prime Minister. Carney was sworn in as Canada's 24th Prime Minister on Friday. Facing a standoff with President Donald Trump over an escalating trade war, he says he expects respect from America. Carney also called President Trump and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio's repeated comments about making Canada the 51st state crazy. He says he'll visit France and the United Kingdom on his first overseas trip on the job, but adds that he currently has no plans to meet Trump, but looks forward to speaking to him. Prime Minister Carney also unveiled a slimmed-down cabinet. A handful of key ministers under Prime Minister Justin Trudeau kept their portfolios, while others were shuffled out or into other positions.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, the country's media fraternity is mourning the loss of veteran journalist Owen James.
The opposition says a future PNP government will waive corporate income tax for new MSMEs.
Government to extend its NWC bill amnesty.
Mocha arrests 8 suspects in $47 million scam at NCB in the last 24 hours.
I'm Robeanne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
News at 5 was brought to you by Fosrich Company Limited, fostering rich customer service.
I pursue opportunities.
I prepare for opportunities.
I plan for opportunities.
With Sagicor e-Invest, you can prepare, plan for and pursue IPO opportunities. Browse IPOs, review IPO details and prospectuses. Select and apply for a featured IPO. With Sagicor e-Invest. Think wealth. Visit sagicor.com.
Don't fall victim to deepfakes.
Watch out.
Protect yourself.
How are this
For
on
more
my TV?
information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or
Here ya,
scan
baby.
the QR code on screen.
Deepfake. No deepfake can't catch me.
Junior, you know say AI can make something will look and sound just like you? One day Junior get a voice note from her granny. Say the food done, the medication done, and she need money urgently.
Need money urgently. But Miss Pat no like ask people for things.
And as so comes Judy get suspicious.
So what she do?
She asks the neighbor fi go check pan her. Junior, the lady quite alright over there make her Sunday dinner.
So the voice note a deepfake.
Yes, my love. Come, your food ready.
Right now it look like we have to outsmart the AI. But wait. I really want dege dumpling you give me.
Me I wonder if AI can make one deep fake dumpling for you.
To learn more about deepfakes, visit www.broadcastingcommission.org.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. The Jamaica Scorpions and the West Indies Academy were locked in an intense battle for maximum points at close on day 3 of the West Indies Regional 4-Day Championship encounter at Coolidge Cricket Ground. Set 356 to win, the West Indies Academy reached stumps on 256 for 5, exactly 100 runs away from their first victory of the campaign. Carl and Bowen Tuckett was not out on 46, Joshua Bishop unbeaten on 23. Hakeem August has so far led the way with 77, Teddy Bishop has got 57 against O.J. Shields 2 for 31 and Brad Barnes 2 for 70. The Scorpions were bowled out for 191 in their second innings as Brandon King made 77 and Javel Glenn 39. Joshua Bishop took 5 wickets and Johan Lane 4. Over at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium, Jamaica's O'Shane Thomas bowled the Leeward Islands Hurricanes to an impressive 373-run win over the combined campuses and colleges. The Hurricanes declared their second innings on 249 for 5, setting the CCC 503 to win. Thomas claimed 5 for 36 and Alzari Joseph 3 for 19 to dismiss the college team for 131, of which Kyle Corbin slammed an undefeated 58. Meanwhile, at Providence, champions Ghana Harpy Eagles closed off a 10-wicket win over the Windward Islands Volcanoes. The Harpy Eagles took a 111-run first innings lead when they piled up 324 on the back of captain Tevin Imlac's 113 and Kemal Savory 49. The Volcanoes then folded for 135 in their second innings as Gudakesh Moti bagged a 6 for 38 and Veerasamy Purmore 3 for 46. Set 27 to win, the Harpy Eagles reached 28 without loss. The West Indies Masters are into the final of the International Masters Cricket League in India after registering a 6-run semi-final win over Sri Lanka Masters on Friday. Dinesh Ramdin hit a composed unbeaten 50 with 4 fours and 3 sixes, and captain Brian Lara, who retired out on 41 to help steer the West Indies Masters to 179 for 5. Chadwick Walton also got amongst their runs by scoring a brisk 31, but when he was dismissed in the 14th over, the West Indies Masters were in a spot of bother at 108 for 4. Tino Best then produced a fiery 4-wicket haul as Sri Lanka Masters struggled to build partnerships. Best wreaked havoc with the ball, claiming 4 for 27 in a match-defining spell in restricting the Sri Lankans to 173 for 9 in their 20 overs. The West Indies Masters will now take on Sachin Tendulkar's India Masters in the championship decider on Sunday at the Shahid Veer Narayan Singh International Stadium. The rebranded 2-day JCA Jamaica Cricket Association Michael Holdings Senior Cup Cricket Competition bowls off with 12 games on Saturday. Defending champions Kingston Cricket Club will open their campaign at home. They take on Boys Town at Sabina Park. Meanwhile, last year's beaten finalists, the JDF, will travel to Springfield to take on St. Thomas. JCA Cricket Operations and Development Manager O'Neill Cruikshank is encouraging the teams to make themselves familiar with the rules and regulations of the competition.
The committee last year has asked that we ensure that all the documents are sent out to teams because we have noted that the complaints that come before the committee are ones that could be avoided if persons were au fait with the rules and the regulations governing the competition. And we're asking again that the teams make themselves aware of what that is.
Cruikshank says they'll be awarding Player of the Round and Player of the Match throughout the competition.
We will be reverting to the Player of the Round matches. So during the preliminary, we'll not have a Player of the Match, we'll have Player of the Rounds for the preliminary games. And after that, as it gets to the quarterfinals, semifinals, and to the finals, we'll have Player of the Match.
O'Neill Cruikshank. Finally, in sports at this time, the Wray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League's top striker Warner Brown of Arnott Gardens is among 9 local-based players called up to the national senior men's football team for the two-legged CONCACAF Gold Cup qualifiers against St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Brown has been setting the local premiership alight with his goals. He has so far banged in 17, which keeps him atop the goal-scoring chart. Coach Steve McLaren, who announced the squad on Friday, says he was impressed with the players in the recent 2-match friendly against Trinidad and Tobago. Game 1 is set for Arnos Vale on March 21, the return leg at Savannah Park on March 25.
The camp we had a few weeks ago, the 2 games against Trinidad, the work for nearly 5 days with them, gave me a great insight into the abilities, the characters, and I really enjoyed that camp. Really enjoyed the 2 games, and from that working with them has given me confidence in which I can put them in the squad and know that they will do the job.
And Coach McLaren has a lot more to say, but you'll have to wait until our next sportscast at 6:05 to hear it.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Since 2016, 156,000 more Jamaicans are working. This is more than any other time in our history. Your government is caring for you.
The time brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:30.
For women standing tall and strong, Sagicor celebrates International Women's Day all month long. For her day, her deals. 7,500 bonus points on new Sagicor Bank credit cards. Special rates on auto loans and mortgages. Discounted trading fees from Sagicor Investments. A free dash cam or tire inflator with Ultimate Woman Auto Insurance from Advantage General Insurance. Plus, tailored products like our Sagicor Life Total Woman Life Insurance Plan. Accelerate action towards financial empowerment. Call 888 Sagicor. Conditions apply.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall. Our Total Tools. Beat waka figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand. Total Tools. We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option. Total Tools located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slive Road, Kingston, and Lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Digicel, live life your way, no free what? Digicel postpaid. With Digicel postpaid, it's all about you. Sign up or pay your bills to stay active for a chance to win a luxurious all-expense paid trip for 2 to Royalton, Antigua. With round-trip flights on us, every week you could win exciting prizes. Event tickets, gym memberships, spa packages, excursion adventures, restaurant vouchers, and more. When you opt in on the My Digicel app, life your way starts now with Digicel. Better connected.
Promotion ends March 31. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
For women standing tall and strong, Sagicor celebrates International Women's Day all month long. For her day, her deals. 7,500 bonus points on new Sagicor Bank credit cards. Special rates on auto loans and mortgages. Discounted trading fees from Sagicor Investments. A free dash cam or tire inflator with Ultimate Woman Auto Insurance from Advantage General Insurance. Plus, tailored products like our Sagicor Life Total Woman Life Insurance Plan. Accelerate action towards financial empowerment. Call 888 Sagicor. Conditions apply.
Exciting news! The Design Studio Nationwide 90 FM just got a whole lot bigger. Join us this and every Saturday now from 1 to 3 p.m. for an exclusive show that elevates your home, mind, and soul. Discover the latest interior design trends to create your dream sanctuary. Unlock your true potential with personal growth strategies. Nourish your body and spirit with expert wellness tips. Don't miss out on the inspiration you need to live your best life. Tune in to the Design Studio this and every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. and take the first step towards a more fulfilling you.
Make me sweat, make me harder.
Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. It is Friday and it is the 14th of March. Welcome to the cover story. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And I'm Donna Hope.
It is good to see you, Professor Hope.
Yes, good to see you, Siobhan, and you look very happy and cheerful. Good things are happening on your side.
It's more like I have to be defending my choice of words in the newscast. Apparently, my use of the term labyrinthine did not go down too well with the newsreaders this afternoon.
Oh, well, maybe that's a twisty word, and Clifford says too academic. It's a little academic, yeah.
But sometimes we need a little academia in the news.
I agree with you.
Give some people something to digest, to think about,
and to go and search the meaning.
Exactly.
Yes,
That's my argument.
Build up. So we're good with it, but I understand. Yes.
And speaking of labyrinthine listeners, we're talking about public procurement. The Senate on Friday passed legislation to reduce the bureaucratic red tape plaguing Jamaica's public procurement system. The Public Procurement Amendment Bill was passed with unanimous support in the upper house on Friday. In piloting the bill through the Senate, Industry Minister Auburn Hill highlighted how Jamaica's bureaucracy has become a hindrance to growth.
Mr. President, the Procurement Act, which came into being in 2015, has proven to be a difficult piece of legislation to navigate in procuring products and services for government entities, even if in concept it was necessary. Many have complained quite bitterly, vociferously, publicly and very often, that it appears that the Procurement Act of 2015 seemed to have been based on the premise that all Jamaicans are not honest, while waving the banner of value for money and transparency.
Over the last 2 financial years, the government has failed to spend nearly $30 billion in capital expenditure. This was largely due to the inability to get projects off the ground through Jamaica's labyrinthine bureaucracy. Even the opposition has complained bitterly about the failure. Leader of opposition business in the upper house, Peter Bunting, endorsed the need to simplify the procurement system. However, he urged adherence to transparency and competitiveness.
It's not often that I find myself agreeing with Senator Hill on issues around bills, but as both of us come from similar private sector backgrounds, I very much appreciate the damage that unnecessary bureaucratic delays and administrative bottlenecks does to productivity of our economy, and in particularly, although we're speaking to regulations and laws and rules relating to the public sector, it impacts the private sector. And so it is impatient of debate that anything that we can do to expedite and streamline this process is worthy of support.
That's Peter Bunting. He is the leader of opposition business in the Senate. Well, Senator Auburn Hill joins us now to discuss further. Good afternoon, Minister Hill.
Hi, very good to be back on your program.
Hi, Minister Hill. Good to hear you. Good afternoon.
Is that Dr. Hope?
Yes, it is I, Professor Doctor. Yes, same one. Good to hear you.
So, Minister Hill, I wish I had a bill in front of me to work with, but please, can you give us an explanation? What are the highlights of this amendment to the Public Procurement Act?
Well, the truth is that we're looking to collapse where we can repetitive procedures in the bill. For instance, one of the big ones is we've had sector committees, and that used to be, okay, you have somebody from my ministry, from another ministry, Ministry of Finance, wherever, and they get together and review once again the procurement activity that has happened in the ministry. You have people, experts in the ministry, who have viewed it. It's going to go to the PPC. And the truth is we couldn't see what value was being added by the sector committee. So we say, all right, take it out. We're looking as well to make sure, give the minister more authority to make rules. And one of them will be, in the end, we want to change the value that must come to, say, the Infrastructure Committee of Cabinet, which I chair. Mm-hmm. And that at the moment is 60 million. Minister Clark talked about it, and we're going to look at those levels because, the value of the projects that we're doing now have far grown so far away from what they used to be when we weren't in as good a fiscal position as we are today. So we have to look at changing those levels of approvals, and that's the kind of stuff we're looking at. I heard on your radio program.
Mm-hmm.
Minister
Hill? Have we lost Minister Hill? Yes, we have. And
Unfortunately.
one of the things I wanted to ask, and I'm sure we'll pick it up when Minister Hill returns, Siobhan, because the issue of inflation and how that impacts on the levels, the different levels that the procurement process approves and how the approval is done. We do not have a copy of the amended bill in front of us. We have not been able to see it, but I'd love to hear from Minister Hill how the changes and the amendments have also impacted on the material, the value of the different levels of the procurement process, and what has been the actual changes that, what can be approved within a shorter period of time with less bureaucracy.
Precisely.
Because it's speeding up the process that has been a very big challenge on both sides of the house. It was
Precisely.
unanimous, yes.
As it's $30 billion in
Underspend.
failed expenditure. It's not something to gawk at, because that means critical projects are not getting off the ground, roads are not
Exactly.
being fixed, hospitals aren't being built, things of that nature.
Emergency, things that come up as an emergency can't be addressed in a very short time. And I think we have Minister Hill back with us. Minister Hill, are you back?
Where did I drop off? What did you last hear from me?
Well, you were speaking about the need to flatten, as you said, many of the bureaucratic hurdles in terms of procurement.
And I said that we're in this revision, amendment of the Act, we have taken out the sector committee, which we didn't see was adding any much value. You have the procurement people in the ministry doing it. It's going to go, if it's big enough and above 60 million or a certain level, it's going to go to the PPC anyway. And we didn't see what value was being added. I remember Minister Warmington, when he was in cabinet, was pushing very hard for the abolition of this sector committee because we couldn't see the value it was adding. And we're also looking at raising the levels that have to be approved at the infrastructure committee of cabinet, which I chair. And the fact that projects have become so big because our fiscal space, the way we've managed the economy, allows us to do bigger projects. And we are therefore going to have to look at higher levels of approval and not get involved in all the small projects below a certain value. So those are the changes that we're looking at.
So, Minister Hill, the new changes, as I said, we do not have a copy of the amended bill in front of us, but the new changes will impact in terms of the material value of the projects that are approved and the ones that have less bureaucracy attached to them. Is that also a part of the amendment?
It's part of the amendment. Absolutely. We want to, that 14 list item that Tona read out in one of your radio programs earlier this week, just tell you the kind of sometimes hindrance and obstacles that people have to face just to get a procurement item through. So we're looking to remove and reduce or put together requirements that really shouldn't be separate. And then we have different arrangements that we will be looking at to make sure that certain small businesses don't have to go through a rigmarole of getting going through the procurement process.
Yes.
Because it's just too onerous for some of them. And we're looking at all those. This amendment gives the minister more power to make changes along those lines and make it easier for people to work with us. We also always, and we in the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, are always asking the people in our sphere, in the commercial sphere, and the business sphere, contracting sphere even, to say to us, hey, this absolutely doesn't make sense. This was here for 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it doesn't make sense. We're recommending that you change it to this. And then that gives us a reason to have our technical people assess it. Get it to cabinet if something we agree with. Get the statute passed and change the law so that we can make it easier for people to do business in Jamaica while keeping the requirement for transparency and for governance probity.
And for probity, because of course, Minister Hill, we have to ensure that at all levels that no calls and no cries of corruption or lack of integrity in the process becomes a part of the new movement to make sure that, projects and the procurement of goods and services are strengthened and in a lot of ways flow more easily through the system.
You want to make sure that you do the right thing.
Yes.
You will always have calls, and people will accuse people of corrupt, especially when they may have lost a project that they were bidding on.
Yes.
So we're not going to get away from calls. What we must do is make sure if those calls ever emanate from conflict, and businesses have conflict all the time, then we must be sure that we follow the rules, that we are properly governed. But what happened in the past, I think, Dr. Hope, is that when this bill was being made, it came into being in 2015 the first time. But remember what happened before. There were tons of scandals that were talked about. And in fact, as I said in my Senate presentation this afternoon, people just saw Jamaicans as thieves. And the bill was written to catch every single thief you could get.
Yes.
Forgetting completely that we have to run a country and make it efficient in the process. So we have to now, we're looking at constantly rebalancing, not so much to take out governance, but to make sure we put in efficiency. So we increase efficiency, and funnily enough, when you increase efficiency and make it transparent, governance improves.
We're up on a break, Minister, but after this I want you to really grind down and explain to Jamaicans how these amendments will make things easier for them and doing business with the government. After the break.
Clear your barrels and personal shipments with ease and convenience. Request a customs contactless clearance today through CCP at jca.gov.jm. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is...
It's 15 minutes to 6.
Outperform, outlast. With top performance. Jackhammer. Reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Fancy select tools, free parts and free repairs. Free parts, free repairs. The 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61124. Delta Supply. We service what we sell.
Attention motorists, it's time to switch to the T-Tag on Trans-Jam highways. Our automated T-Tag lanes reduce the cost of managing cash at our toll plazas, and drivers of Class 1 and 2 vehicles who use the T-Tag pay a lower toll fare than those who use the manually operated toll booths. They also get their 10th trip through any toll plaza free. The T-Tag makes it quicker, more cost-efficient, and safer for our customers. So switch to the T-Tag today and experience the convenience. T-Tag packages are discounted to only $1,500, including a $500 toll credit from now until March 31st.
It's tax season. Time to reach for your checkbook or dole out the cash. Or maybe not. Discover an easier way to pay your taxes. Use your Sagicor Bank Business Credit Card. You'll get a 1-month payment holiday, up to 55 days interest-free, and unlimited rewards points on every dollar you spend. Discover how easy and convenient it is to pay your taxes with your Sagicor Bank Business Credit Card. Don't have a Sagicor Bank Business Credit Card? Visit Sagicor.com to apply for yours today. Conditions apply.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. We're talking about public procurement. The Senate has passed amendments to the Public Procurement Act to make it a more efficient and quicker process. We have with us to discuss further the Minister of Industry and Investment, that's Senator Albin Hill. So, Minister, everybody hears about this matter of public procurement, but to the average Jamaican, what does that mean to them in terms of making the government bureaucracy more efficient, making it easier for projects to get through? What does that mean to a Jamaican on the street?
All right. Literally, it's Siobhan, isn't it?
Yes.
Siobhan, literally, we have an A to Z. Literally. So I'm going to pick out some for you. The first schedule of the Principal Act has been repealed and replaced with a current and updated listing of certain exempt goods, works, and services from the procurement methods and processes. Part 3 and Part 5 do not apply to the following goods, works, and services. Listen, non-government organization under the conditions specified in Part B, all right? Land and any immovable property or rights in relation to land. Works of art, cultural performances, all your people in the entertainment business, products or services associated with creative expression, goods, works, and services relating to the staging of productions in support of or associated with creative expression and cultural events, including, but not limited to, artistic coordination, direction, and management, then the management of artistic works or events, and the management of intellectual property rights and venue rental. Next one, infrastructure and technical effects, design and technical director of cultural performances, the engagement of artists and performers.
So everything.
Culture and creative industries seems to have been pulled up a lot. Culture and creative industries, yes.
Medical services, medallions and insignias. Okay, that's a big business for some people. We use, especially in the National Honors Award. Travel services, programs, material intended for broadcasting by broadcasters, you guys. Goods, works and services under multilateral, bilateral agreements with Jamaica, that means IDB and so on. We don't have to go to procurement for them. Then we have, which we always have, we have had carve-outs for people in the micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. We want to see a lot more of that taken up. Mm-hmm. We want to see the MSME sector and their leaders, the Small Business Association, say, look, you have this carve-out here, we want to use it, but it's a little bit difficult. If it is, come to us. We'll find a way to make it work for you or change the regulations to make it work, but we need to get the reaction. And we need to see more small businesses. We make a certain amount of contracts that must go to, government contracts that must go to these smaller businesses. We want to see a lot more people taking it up. And then there are goods, works, or services relating to or connected with the operations of Jamaica diplomatic missions, the procurement of banknotes, that's not in your normal works of things, technical cooperation and assistance for the provision of goods, works, and services pursuant to any agreement between the government of Jamaica through the Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority. And on it goes. So we have a lot of carve-outs and exemptions that don't have to go through this rigmarole of the procurement.
So, Minister Hill,
yes. You to do business.
So, Minister Hill, for the persons listening and for, regular Jamaicans who are here in creative and cultural industries and a lot of these areas, you're saying that if there are issues that they face, that there is an opportunity for them to give some feedback. What mechanisms are in place for them to do that?
I'm saying that, but also,
yes,
some of what you do, it doesn't have to go through the procurement process.
Yes, I understand.
Yes, leaving you of that, and we have carve-outs for people who are in the MSME sector. Use it. Go and use it. Mm-hmm. Go to the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. Ask JBDC how to help you. Jamaica Business Development Corporation, one of our agencies. Jamper is another one. Go to them and make sure the MSME sector in the ministry will help you and advise you and say where you can go to get these carve-outs and participate in government contracts. And if there are difficulties, tell us. Let's find a way to help you.
Sounds good.
Minister, not to get political, but I really would like to hear your response to many of the...
What's the nature of your
it touches on your portfolio, because remember, I think you'd agree, Minister, that growth has eluded the country over the last, I won't limit to your administration, over much of Jamaica's existence. Fast growth, very well. Meaningful growth, significant growth. Let's use some qualifiers.
No, 2.4% or 2% or 1.5% is not without meaning.
Very well.
Let's say fast growth. Let's be all agreed. Fast growth has eluded us.
Very well. But Minister, what is missing, and what does the JLP government believe is its message to Jamaicans that they can deliver that growth when a PNP administration is suggesting that they can do it better?
I tell you why we can do it. We are the ones who, after 50 years in independence or so, we took on what was the worst economic case. The PNP initiated with the IMF. That once the agreement was in, very quickly they were moved out of power. We had to take it on. I remember leading the Economic Advisory Council for the then leader of the opposition, now Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Most Honorable Andrew Holness. And every time the IMF came, whether it was Dr. Stein or Dr. Ramakrishnan, every time they asked us, will you keep the agreement if you come to power? And ad nauseum, we repeated, yes, we will. But we not only keep it, we really excelled at fixing our fiscal space, where we now have the kind of national, the kind of reserve, NIR, that everybody in the Caribbean would wish to have, except possibly for Guyana. And yet, we have the lowest unemployment. We have not raised taxes in 10 years. We know how to run an economy. Growth takes, we needed to have the fiscal balance in place to get growth going, because remember, we didn't have fiscal space at one time to do anything at all. We now have a measure of fiscal space. We're upskilling our people. Remember how we used to talk about crime and it's difficult, and we said, look, we're spending the money, we're putting the infrastructure in place, we're making sure that the police have the equipment, and it sounds like it's all of a sudden that the crime wave is going to. No, it's not all of a sudden. It's 8-9 years of planning and changing and fixing. We think we've done much of that for growth to happen. We look at where we're going to make sure growth happens. Agriculture has to be a very important part of that. We're putting in two of the biggest irrigation schemes, not only in Jamaica but possibly in the Caribbean. In Essex Valley, that's the eastern part of St. Elizabeth and a little part of Manchester, southern Manchester, and in the Pedro Plains irrigation scheme, both of which I've been very involved in when I was in another part of the government. And Minister Matthew Samuda is pushing hard to get those done, and Minister Floyd Green, to make sure we have irrigation water for agriculture. The special economic zone that we're building out, the government has now decided, after we've looked around and realized that we're not going to get investors to invest in bush. There's but there for a long time. We have to put in, so we're going to build out 60 acres of that, putting in all the infrastructure, broadband, water, and electricity, all underground, build the customs center right next to the port, because banana is gone, sugar is gone, we have to take on a new economy. And above all, we have to upskill our people, because we're changing the Jamaica International Financial Service Authority. Bermuda has a per capita GDP of 151,000. That's just below Luxembourg, which is number one, and Singapore. And all they have are services. Now, many of those people who work in Cayman, in Bermuda, BVI, are Jamaican accountants and lawyers. We didn't have the legal infrastructure and ecosystem to accommodate them here. We've just changed they put in the segregated accounts so that people can come in and set up their business and segregated account arrangements. We're putting in partnerships, limited and general partnerships, and making sure the financial ecosystem is such that rich companies, rich investors can do what they do in the BVI in Jamaica in a much nicer place. With many of the Jamaicans who are overseas, we bring them back and pay them good salaries to expand our services business. We're really good in the services business, in tourism and BPO. We're going to a higher level of financial services, and that's part of the growth agenda of the Andrew Holness administration.
Minister,
and we're going to make sure it happens.
You know, Minister Hill, and it sounds very robust and very productive and, very exciting. But the people who are a part of it, but my question is, the human resources, I hear you bringing back Jamaicans. What about the ones who are here? Are there plans to upskill persons who need to be upskilled? So there are plans to upskill, yes. Upskilling.
Let me tell you.
Tell me about that.
Upskilling, well, let me tell you what. We now have the largest operating budget in the cabinet is education. We're spending this year 163 or maybe 183 billion Jamaican dollars.
Yes.
That's that no, finance has a bigger amount because they pay down the debts and the interest, but the operating budget of the Ministry of Finance is much smaller than the Ministry of Education. We know a lot of that goes into teaching. You have the Education Act, which Minister Dana Dixon is now going to bring to Parliament. It's already, I think, tabled or about to be tabled, which is going to make sure we squeeze a lot more education out of that education budget. A lot of it goes to paying salaries, and yes, people must be paid. But if people are paid, then you have to produce, and we want to see how much we get into our children's heads and minds to make them educated, because we're not, Dr. Hope, Siobhan, we're not going to get rich by becoming a major manufacturing country. We don't have the size of land, and we don't have the size of people. But we do, many of the rich countries are small countries with really smart people operating in them. We have to make our Jamaicans smarter, bring back those who are smart and educated, but the young ones from now, we must educate them right through the system. Yes. And the amount of money we're spending, much more per capita than many in our region, we must get value out of that money, and that value is information and knowledge in the brains of our young people.
Minister, I know we're out of time, but did you just drop that the Education Act is ready to be tabled in Parliament, or soon to be ready to be tabled? The amendments to that?
I saw a document in the Senate today that leads me to believe that. So I'm sure, Minister.
I think that's a JTC bill that should be soon tabled.
Sorry, it's a JTC bill.
Okay.
But that's a part of the entire reform process that the Education Ministry is taking on our education system, that has to be upgraded and changed, and make sure we get more knowledge out of that money that we spend.
Okay, thank you for that clarity, Minister. Yes. That is Industry Minister Senator Albin Hill talking about public procurement and trying to get that growth that still eludes, let me be clear, the fast growth that still eludes the country. The headlines are next. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is...
A minute after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Head of the St. Elizabeth Police, Superintendent Coleridge Minto, has now been transferred to a corporate area medical facility following a traffic accident on Thursday. Superintendent Minto was involved in a two-vehicle collision along the Jacksgate Main Road in the New Market District on Thursday afternoon. In a video obtained by our news center, an unmarked service vehicle, a Mitsubishi Pajero, can be seen in what appears to be a head-on collision with a Nissan pickup. It's not immediately clear whether Superintendent Minto was a driver or passenger in either of the vehicles. Up to news time, our news center was told that Superintendent Minto remains in serious but stable condition. 2 Britons have been arrested after they attempted to smuggle cocaine through the Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston. The incident occurred on Wednesday, March 12. This is the first cocaine seizure at the airport since the start of the year. Reports are that sometime after 4 p.m., police personnel were conducting security checks for passengers boarding a British Airways flight destined for London. Upon doing routine interviews, the actions of a British man aroused suspicion and his luggage was searched. This led to the discovery of just under 7 kilograms of cocaine concealed in the lining of 2 suitcases he was carrying. That's approximately 15 pounds of cocaine. During the same process, the actions of a British woman also aroused the suspicion of law enforcers. Her suitcase was searched, and just over 7 kilograms, or about 16 pounds of cocaine, were found in the lining of her luggage. The combined value of the cocaine is approximately 90 million Jamaican dollars. Veteran journalist Owen James died on Thursday night after a long battle with illness. Owen James's career spanned 5 decades in both print and broadcast media. He began his illustrious career in journalism at the Gleaner Company and later became the editor of The Star. But he was renowned for his business programs on Television Jamaica and CVM TV. These include A Ray of Hope, The Business Day, and The Business Review. The Press Association of Jamaica, PAJ, has hailed the late Owen James as a pioneer in business journalism in Jamaica. CEO of Nationwide News Cliff Hughes also credited James with filling what he described as a gap in local business journalism.
Owen, before he ventured into that particular niche of business reporting and analysis and commentary, was really a journalist's journalist, as a generalist. Yeah, he was good at politics, good at crime, social issues, education, law, justice, before he decided in later years to really satisfy what was an obvious gap in the Jamaican journalism landscape, and that was business reporting. We didn't pay much attention to honing our ability to assess and to report on business issues, and he realized that he had an ability.
Cliff Hughes, CEO of Nationwide News. The government plans to extend the National Water Commission bill amnesty announced last year. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness made the announcement while speaking at a commissioning ceremony for pipeline projects in Runit and Middle Quarters in St. Elizabeth on Friday.
What we did as a government, recognizing the significant cost this is to your cost of living, is to put in place an amnesty. And Minister Samuda would have given you some of the figures. The amnesty is going very well. Persons are taking advantage of it. They're coming in. They're clearing their debts. We have over 22,000 applications. And what I'm going to do, I'll announce it in the budget, but I can announce it here. We're going to announce the date of the extension of the amnesty so that more Jamaicans who are not a part, who have not yet registered for the amnesty could get an opportunity. Because we understand and we care.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. The 3-month amnesty was launched on January 2. Under the program, all residential NWC customers that meet the criteria benefited from a 50% write-off of the amount owed on their NWC accounts. Opposition spokesman on finance Julian Robinson says a future PNP government will waive corporate income tax for micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs, for their first 3 years of operation. This was one of a raft of measures Mr. Robinson promised would be used to boost the economic potential of the country.
Another issue for the MSME sector is the cumbersome regulations and the high compliance costs, which discourage MSMEs from formalizing and scaling their businesses. The process of registering, licensing, complying with tax obligations remains complex and costly for many of these entrepreneurs, forcing them to operate in the informal sector. Our commitment, Mr. Speaker, is that we are going to waive corporate income tax for 3 years for new MSMEs. We are saying to the MSMEs, go out there and build your business. Sell your services, sell your products. We want you to come in the formal sector. We don't want you to stay outside. And the reason we don't want you to stay outside is if you stay outside, you won't have access to funding.
Mr. Robinson was making his contribution to the budget debates in the House of Representatives on Thursday. The opposition spokesman says MSMEs form the backbone of society and must be supported. He also pledged to reform the Development Bank of Jamaica to allow easier access to loans for MSMEs.
Only 17% of MSMEs can access credit from banks, while 53% rely on personal savings to fund their operation. This lack of financing severely limits their ability to expand, to invest in new technology, or hire skilled employees. What will we do? The PNP will reform the loan structure at the DBJ to make DBJ loans more attractive to MSMEs. Now, the issue here is not the amount of money. In fact, there are many times here where, whether it's done in finance, that we see funds that are unspent by the DBJ. So the issue is not that providing more money is the answer. It is how do you make it easier for them to access it.
Julian Robinson, opposition spokesman on finance. Those are the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sports is next.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
For generations, Jamaican families have trusted Imperial Optical to keep their vision clear and their style sharp. From their first eye exam to the latest in fashion frames, we've been there for every milestone, every moment, and every memory. Whether it's your child's first day at school or your grandparents' golden years, our care spans every age, every stage. Visit Imperial Optical today. Generations of care, generations of trust.
I pursue opportunities.
I prepare for opportunities.
I plan for opportunities.
With Sagicor e-Invest, you can prepare, plan for and pursue IPO opportunities. Browse IPOs, review IPO details and prospectuses. Select and apply for a featured IPO. IPO with Sagicor e-Invest. Think wealth. Visit sagicor.com.
March into savings with ATL's March Madness Sale. Get up to 50% off select appliances, electronics, and hard-to-find parts all month long. Upgrade your home and business with everything you need at unbeatable prices and best quality brands. Shop in store at Kingston, Ocho Rios, and Montego Bay, or beat the traffic and buy online at atljamaica.com and get all and wider delivery. ATL, the best brands and the best service. Sale ends March 31 while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Good evening with your sports report. I'm Alex Raby. We blow things off with some cricket as the Jamaica Scorpions and the West Indies Academy were locked in an intense battle for maximum points at close on day 3 of the West Indies Regional 4-Day Championships at Coolidge Cricket Ground. Set 356 to win, the West Indies Academy reached 256 for 5 at stumps, exactly 100 runs away from their first victory of the season. Carlon Bowen Tuckett was not out, 46, and Joshua Bishop, 23, not out. Akeem August has so far led the way with 77 and Teddy Bishop, 57, against Ajay Seals, 2 for 31, and Brad Barnes, 2 for 70. The Scorpions were bowled out for 191 in their second innings as Brandon King made 77 and Javel Glenn 39. Joshua Bishop took 5 wickets and Johan Lane 4. Over at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium, Jamaica's O'Shane Thomas bowled the Leeward Islands Hurricane to an impressive 373-run win over the combined campuses and colleges. The Hurricanes declared their second innings on 249 for 5, setting the CCC 503 to win. Thomas claimed 5 for 36 and Alzara Joseph 3 for 19 to dismiss the college team for 131, of which Kyle Corbin slammed an undefeated 58. Meanwhile, at Providence, champions Guyana Harpy Eagles closed off a 10-wicket win over the Windward Islands Volcanoes. The Harpy Eagles took a 111-run first innings lead when they piled up 324 on the back of Captain Tevin Imlac's 113 and Kimola Savory 49. The Volcanoes then folded for 135 in their second innings as Gudakesh Moti bagged 6 for 38 and Virasamy Pamal 3 for 46. Set 27 to win, the Harpy Eagles reached 28 without loss. The West Indies Masters are in the final of the International Masters Cricket League in India after registering a 6-run semi-final win over Sri Lanka Masters on Friday. Dinesh Ramdin hit a composed unbeaten 50 with 4 fours and 3 sixes, and captain Brian Lara, who retired out on 41, to help steer the West Indies Masters to 179 for 5. Chadwick Walton also got amongst the runs by scoring a brisk 31, but when he was dismissed in the 14th over, the West Indies Masters were in a spot of bother at 108 for 4. Tino Best then produced a fiery 4-wicket haul as Sri Lanka Masters struggled to build partnerships. Best wreak havoc with the ball, claiming 4 for 27 in a match-defining spell in restricting the Sri Lankans to 173 for 9 in their 20 overs. The West Indies Masters will now take on Sachin Tendulkar's India Masters in the final on Sunday. The rebranded two-day JCA Michael Holden Senior Cup cricket competition bowls off with 12 matches on Saturday. Defending champions Kingston Cricket Club opened their campaign at home against Boys Town at Sabina Park. Meanwhile, last year's beaten finalist JDF travels to Springfield to take on St. Thomas. JCA Cricket Operations and Development Manager O'Neill Cruikshank is encouraging the teams to make themselves familiar with the rules and regulations of the tournament.
The committee last year has asked that we ensure that all the documents are sent out to teams, because we have noted that the complaints that come before the committee are ones that could be avoided if persons were au fait with the rules and the regulations governing the competition. And we're asking again that the teams make themselves aware of what that is.
Cruikshank says they will be awarding Player of the Round and Player of the Match.
We will be reverting to the Player of the Round matches. So during the preliminary, we'll not have a Player of the Match, we'll have Player of the Rounds for the preliminary games. And after that, as it gets to the quarterfinals, semifinals, and to the finals, we'll have Player of the Match.
O'Neill Cruikshank. Well, the West Indies will take on Scotland while Ireland face host Pakistan on the opening day of the ICC Women's Cricket World Cup qualifier in April. 6 teams will compete in the 15-match round-robin tournament in Lahore from April 9 to 19 as they chase 2 places at the finals in India on October-November. Australia, England, New Zealand, South Africa, Sri Lanka and host India have already qualified for the World Cup after finishing in the top 6 of the 10-team ICC Women's Championship. Full members Bangladesh, Ireland, Pakistan and the West Indies made the qualifier after they finished between 7th and 10th. Associate members Scotland and Thailand made it as the next 2 best-ranked sides in the ICC Women's ODI team rankings as of October 28. The Windies started their campaign against Scotland in a day game at Lahore City Cricket Association at the same time as the Irish take on Pakistan at Gaddafi Stadium. West Indies conclude their campaign by facing Thailand on April 18 in a day-night game at Gaddafi Stadium. Now to football, as the Ray and Never Jamaica Premier League's top striker, Warner Brown of Arnett Gardens, is among 9 local-based players called up to the national senior men's football team for the 2-legged CONCACAF Gold Cup qualifiers against St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Brown has been setting the local premiership alight with his goals. He's so far banged in 17, which keeps him atop the goal-scoring chart. Coach Stephen McLaren, who announced the squad on Friday, says he has impressed with the players in the recent 2-match friendly series against Trinidad and Tobago.
The camp we had a few weeks ago, the 2 games against Trinidad, the work for nearly 5 days with them gave me a great insight into the abilities, the characters, and I really enjoyed that camp, really enjoyed the 2 games. And from that working with them has given me confidence in which I can put them in the squad and know that they will do the job.
McLaren was in attendance at Thursday's CONCACAF Champions Cup second leg round of 16 game between Cavalier and Inter Miami at a full national stadium and is calling on the local fans to replicate that support for the national team.
What it was to see the stadium full house. I know we nearly got it against the USA, but to see a full house, that's the goal. I said to everybody, all the staff, everybody I spoke to this morning, that's the goal, to fill the stadium. So it was great to see. What a great game. Spirited, I thought, performance from Cavaliers. And yeah, the most important thing for, I suppose, all the supporters was to see Messi playing. Not many people get and are fortunate to see Messi live, but Jamaica saw that.
The first leg will be at Arnes Vale on Friday, March 21, with a return on Tuesday, March 25 at Sabina Park. The last time Jamaica played St. Vincent and the Grenadines at the senior level was in June 2008 in Kingston, with Jamaica coming away 5-1 winners. Champions Fraser's Whip will be seeking their third straight win when they take on Los Perfectos in the opening match of a doubleheader in the Jamaica Women's Premier League at the Anthony Spalding Complex on Saturday afternoon at 1. In the second match, home team Arnett Gardens welcome Mile Gully. Meanwhile, Wi-Fi United entertains Springer United at Carter Park. Cavalier tussle with UWI Women at Alpha Boys Home Field, and Real Mobile play Proven Girls at Landile Complex. And finally in squash, the top 4 ladies in the 45th All-Jamaica Senior Squash Championships made light work of their competitors to win their matches and move on to the semi-finals at the Legal Knee Club. Defending champion Mary Mahfood needed just 11 minutes to defeat Loya Fong Yi in straight sets after posting scores of 11-2, 11-1, 11-2. Mahfood says she took control of the match in the second set.
The match was good. I spent some time earlier this week getting accustomed to the courts. Since I'm based out of the northeast, it's very different temperatures, especially coming out of winter. So Loya, she played really well and she was returning the shots, but overall it felt really good. It was a fun match. So I definitely think I started out just kind of going there and pounding the ball. I always do that in my first games to get the jitters out. But then once I slowed it down and really thought through, I was able to place the ball where I wanted it to go. So she had a harder time getting the ball out of the backcourt. And that's where I had the advantage, stepping up and taking control of the game for the last 2 games.
Mary Mahfood. The number 2 seed and the junior champion, Mihar Trehan, defeated Natalie Borland in straight sets with scores of 12-10, 11-0, 11-3. Catherine Risden, who is seeded at number 3, was challenged by Kerry Gay Wright, who went down in straight sets. The scores in that match were 11-2, 11-8, and 11-8. Sanjana Nalapati, seeded at number 4, defeated Noel Nichols 11-1, 11-3, 11-4. Perhaps the game of the championship so far was played between the men's number 3 seed Tajay Lumley and Adam Ardito. The match lasted 44 minutes and 31 seconds, which is the longest match of the championship to date. Lumley won the first game 11-8, but Ardito turned the tables on him to take the second game 11-6. They battled the next 2 games, but Lumley came out the winner in 11-4 and 11-2.
The first game, I know that I had to be a little bit more on the mentally tough side just to make sure that I got a good first game in, just to make sure that I was getting used to the bounce. It's very humid, the ball is very bouncy. I know my style of game doesn't suit playing slow most of the times, but I knew that I had to make some changes, whether or not I wanted to hit the ball hard with a lot of pace, but to make sure that I was hitting my targets. It was really more so about getting that first game and coming out with a positive start in the match, with a positive mindset.
Tajay Lumley, I'm Alex Raby, and that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612 to 5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:22.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household, and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
28 degrees Celsius in City Kingston and 28 in Montego Bay.
Revamp your space with Unique Living sleek fixed and sliding shower panels, shower systems and faucets, stylish vanities, LED and non-LED mirrors, basins and kitchen sinks, closet and storage solutions, hanging aids, and more. Available in different finishes and sizes to match your style. Transform your space and visit us today at shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10. Call us at 876-755-3661 or visit our website at uniquelivingja.com to shop.
Win with love. Use your JMMB Money Transfer Prepaid Visa Card from October 1, 2024 to June 30, 2025 for a chance to win your share of a $2.1 million grand prize, plus a $100,000 university cash grant and cash back from paying tolls and shopping with your card. Receive money 24/7 in minutes with Visa Direct via MoneyGram, Zoom, Remitly, or directly through Ria and Zoom. Visit jm.jmmb.com/money-transfer for full details on how to enter and win with love. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Conditions apply.
Digicel, live life your way, no free what? Digicel postpaid. With Digicel postpaid, it's all about you. Sign up or pay your bills to stay active for a chance to win a luxurious all-expense paid trip for two to Royalton, Antigua, with round-trip flights on us. Every week you could win exciting prizes, event tickets, gym memberships, spa packages, excursion adventures, restaurant vouchers, and more. When you opt in on the My Digicel app, life your way starts now with Digicel. Better connected. Promotion ends March 31. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Want to reduce your high electricity bills? Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid-tied to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
Labor rights? Kevin Frith hosts Area Council 1 meeting in St. Andrews Southeastern this Sunday, March 16 at YWCA 51 Arnold Road, 4:30 p.m. Deputy Leader Desmond McKenzie rallies the team with MPs Juliet Holness, Favour Williams, Matthew Samuda, Dwayne Smith, Senators Atka Fitz-Henley, Marlon Morgan, Delano Seavright, Council Caretaker Camilyn Reed and others. We ring the bell as we come to you, standing on a strong record of performance. JLP active and strong. Area Council 1 meeting hosted by Kevin Frith this Sunday, YWCA 4:30 p.m. See you there!
Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM from 6 to 9 p.m. It's the Area Council 1 meeting at YWCA School Leavers Institute, Sunday, March 16. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the West Kingston constituency and the Jamaica Labour Party. Due to the broadcast of the Area Council 1 meeting on Sunday, March 16, Jamaican Dads, Immaculate Moments, and Baha'i Faith will not be aired. This is a public advisory. On Sunday, March 16, 2025, the Mayor's Parlor will be aired from 12:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. We do apologize for any inconvenience caused.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robianne Williams. It's a Friday evening, looking forward to the end of the work day. A special good evening to our friends over on our YouTube platform. Thank you for tuning in. We invite you to weigh in live in the comments section on today's Public Opinion. It's all about the showdown, the match that took place last evening at the National Stadium. Yes, legend Lionel Messi was on target on Thursday night as his Inter Miami team defeated Jamaica's champions Cavalier 2-0 in the second leg of their CONCACAF Champions Cup round of 16 tie. The victory gave Inter Miami a 4-0 aggregate win, eliminating Cavalier from the tournament. Messi, who missed Inter Miami's previous 3 games due to fatigue, he came on in 8 minutes into the second half to massive applause from a full national stadium. He finalized the win for Inter Miami with a goal. So in Public Opinion this evening, we're asking your reaction to the Inter Miami Cavalier match on Thursday. So far on social media, I can tell you every scroll is a picture, is a video, is a comment, is a post, is something about the match. Whether it be about Messi or the match entirely. Some people have said that Messi stole the show. Yeah. Some people say him not steal nothing. Yeah. Some people are big up Cavalier because they make Messi come here. But yeah, let's get to the comments on our social media platform. I'll start on Facebook, where Maxine is saying, Maxine Riley is saying, evidence of disloyalty, and that the whole perception of patriotism has become obsolete. Yeah? Wow. Karine Mackenzie is asking, however, how disloyalty comes into that. She's just asking. Jamaica was playing, but Messi has a lot of idols here. So if it was Brazil or another team come with their fan, I'm sure they would have acted the same way. People cheering for Messi don't mean they're selling out Jamaica, and people went to the stadium just to see Messi. Yeah? All right, let me see if I can get in a few more. Philip Jackson says it's not his sport, and it never meant anything to him. All right. To each his own. Fabian Smith says, one Messi, that's all. Yeah? The comments we've seen on our social media so far, Jamaica recognized the GOAT. Yeah? We don't do empty stadium here. All right, let me see if I can get to a few more on social media. Yeah? The real Razorby said, the people them love Messi more than them team. Welcome to Jamaica. Joan is saying, please remember you guys supposed to be cheering for Jamaica. I am the real Stephen is saying, the biggest congratulations to Cavalier. You guys have done extremely well. The superstars did not walk over you. Yeah. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Rough House is asking, a Selma country sellout? I am still waiting for him to say how warm and welcoming Jamaicans were to him and how much he appreciates them turning on their own team. Yeah? Jason is saying, LOL, Messi over Jamaica, Messi. All right. Platinum is saying, this man couldn't even put a smile on his face. Come on, Messi. Lady Ever Faithful is saying, if brainwashed was a person or country, Jamaica is definitely on the list. Other countries come out in their country color to represent their country, but Jamaica came out in Joseph's coat of arms, many colors. There were people at the stadium who dressed in their Cavalier jerseys, who dressed in their Jamaican colors. There were also people who had their Inter Miami jersey. I also saw that. I saw an interview also with someone saying that they paid their money for their tickets and they were locked out of the stadium. Them couldn't go in a stadium. Mayor says stadium did full. Yeah? Andrine is saying, who are these people cheering for? Who are they cheering for? Let me see if I can go on our YouTube platform. What is your reaction to the Inter Miami Cavalier match on Thursday? Who were you rooting for? Yeah? Home team or away? Let me see if I can get into the comments here on our YouTube. Robert Mackenzie says, I love that jersey that you have on. My jersey, the nationwide jersey. See? Yeah? For those of you who are on YouTube. Wise Emissary says, shameful display of disloyalty. Jacqueline Thomas says, Messi knows that Jamaicans give it to him. Yeah? The real Ilian chef Patricia says, me pay my money, reach stadium 1 p.m. Yeah, I mean, you have to go early because you expect that it is going to be packed. It'll go full. So you best you go early. Villa say Cavalier all the way. Blessings to you, Leroy Rutty. Let me see. Derek Lewis says this was a club match, not a country versus country. Very, very good observation, Derek Lewis. You see, becoming so sporty, the sporting world. But thank you for that observation. Frank White says, but Cavalier couldn't win. Yeah. Randolph Wright is saying 2-foot goat. Yeah, the 2-foot goat. I guess you're referring to Messi indeed. Frank White said 1 Messi goat. Yeah. McHugh saying electrifying atmosphere from what I saw on TV. Yeah. Jacqueline Thomas said, Robbie, and we just give it to him. Same way so, Jacqueline. Same way so. Robert Mackenzie says, Messi the greatest ever. All right. Let me see if I can get Sophia Nemhard says them sell out the match. Yeah. Them sell out the match. Let me see if I can get in a few more on this one. Becca says, I was surprised when Messi scored and the old stadium said goal. Me vex Cavalier all the way. Yeah? Isa Mario says it was an amazing turnout for just a club match. Stadium full and people a climb wall. King of Kingston them call Messi. I heard that, and I don't know how to feel about that comment, but yes. Yeah? SH, me don't know why you always a complain, so me always not read your message. I always explain to you, my dear, that the messages, the posts, the texts that come in on YouTube, it's a lot. So I may not see everything. So thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. All right, let me see. D Muse says a lot of people go see Messi score rather than Cavalier win. Rayon Wright says it was a good thing for Jamaica. Most people didn't go to see Cavalier. They went to see Messi. Let me see if I can find the message here. Yeah. SH is saying, but it put it this way. A lot of money was made on the night. Good for the country. Yeah. But yeah, as Derek Lewis rightfully said, it was a club match, not a country versus country. So I guess they weren't necessarily saying or putting any other country over Jamaica. It was just a club match. Yeah? Roxanne Wellington says, I love how our Jamaicans were happy and pleased, not cross and angry. Go Messi. Yeah? Patwa said the refs seemed like they were starstruck, hence they ruled in favor of the visitors. Them Sikh seem like they gave extra time to let Messi score. Okay. Yes, Sharon Bless, big up yourself. Me literally not see it, so bear with me. Randolph Wright says, not a fan of Messi, nor the Inter Miami Pink Flamingos. Wow. Yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much for participating in Public Opinion. That's all the time we have for Public Opinion and for the remainder of this week. Messi Dana, look for me away, so I'm going to quickly wrap up. The business report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:36. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robian Williams. Tax Administration Jamaica, TAJ, is advising employers that the deadline for monthly statutory deductions, SO1, for February has been extended to Tuesday, March 18, 2025. The extension has been granted after careful consideration, TAJ says, of the challenges being experienced by clients today with the authority's online services. The extensions mean that statutory liability filers have until March 18, 2025 to honor their filing and payment obligations without the application of interest penalties. Employers are urged to make their payments on or before the extended deadline to benefit from an employment tax credit. Further afield, the UK economy shrank unexpectedly in January in a blow to the government ahead of its spring statement later this month. According to BBC reports, the economy contracted by 0.1%, which was weaker than forecast, driven mainly by a decline in the manufacturing sector. The government has made boosting growth its key priority, but a weaker economy is expected to affect Chancellor Rachel Reeves' decisions as she seeks to meet her self-imposed rules on tax and spending. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 157 Jamaican dollars and 31 cents to buy $1. 206 Jamaican dollars and 49 cents to buy 1 British pound, and 110 Jamaican dollars and 9 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. Well, that's the business report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10 or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
You can have it all. Company events, birthday parties, or the wedding of your dreams. It's all possible at Grand Palladium Hotels and Resorts. We have magnificent event rooms and a dedicated team that will make your event the best experience that only Grand Palladium Hotels and Resorts can offer. Contact us at 876-619-0000 or call your favorite travel agency and ask about our promotion designed especially for you.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
It's the weekend and the youth are taking over the airwaves. Yes, we are the new voices and faces of the Talk Up You radio show. The voice of the Jamaican youth right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
After a busy week of work and school, come and wine with Jamaica's #1 youth radio show.
We're bringing you entertainment, fun facts, and staying true to youth development and advocacy.
Catch the action each and every Saturday as we roll out buzzy segments. What say you?
Youth for chat.
Life skills.
Global Connect. And Bust the Youth. That's the Talk Up Youth radio show. Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
Talk Up Youth, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Youth. Don't miss it.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team. Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Labor rights? Kevin Frith hosts Area Council 1 meeting in St. Andrews Southeastern this Sunday, March 16 at YWCA 51 Arnold Road, 4:30 p.m. Deputy Leader Desmond McKenzie rallies the team with MPs Juliet Holness, Favour Williams, Matthew Samuda, Dwayne Smith, Senators Atka Fitzhenley, Marlon Morgan, Delano Seavright, Council Caretaker Camilyn Reed and others. We ring the bell as we come to you, standing on a strong record of performance. JLP active and strong. Area Council 1 meeting hosted by Kevin Frith this Sunday, YWCA 4:30 p.m. See you there!
Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM from 6 to 9 p.m. It's the Area Council 1 meeting at YWCA School Leavers Institute, Sunday, March 16. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the West Kingston constituency and the Jamaica Labour Party. Due to the broadcast of the Area Council 1 meeting on Sunday, March 16, Jamaican Dads, Immaculate Moments, and Baha'i Faith will not be aired.
This time signal is sponsored by Janet Global Accreditation, an agency of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. The time is now.
It's 6:43. Welcome, listeners. Good evening. It's 6:44, and it's time for the nation's business. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And I'm Donna Hope.
Well, it's football. Lovely football listeners. Argentine legend Lionel Messi was on target at the National Stadium on Thursday night as his Inter Miami team beat Jamaica's champions Cavalier 2-0 in the second leg of their CONCACAF Champions Cup round of 16 tie. The victory gave Inter Miami a 4-0 aggregate win, eliminating Cavalier from the tournament. Messi, who missed Inter Miami's previous 3 games due to fatigue, came on 8 minutes into the second half to massive applause from a full national stadium. The 8-time Ballon d'Or winner sealed the win for the MLS campaigners when he ghosted behind the Cavalier defense and applied a calm finish.
Last moments of the match now. Morales. Messi makes the run. It's fed through. It's Lionel Messi! The King of Kingston.
Inter Miami went in front in the 37th minute thanks to a Luis Suarez penalty. They will next face LAFC in April. Now we want to ask, we're going to bring in our guests to speak with us. We're going to talk a little bit about Jamaica's football fan culture and whether or not we are really fans or we are loving winners. And so we have joining us to discuss the matter a little further, this football fandom culture in Jamaica. We have former Reggae Girls head coach Charlie Edwards and coach and football analyst Andrew Price. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen. So let me put that question to you first.
Yes.
Charlie Edwards, does Jamaica have a football fan culture?
Siobhan Campbell, Professor Donna Open, Andrew Price, good evening.
Good evening,
Good evening, sir.
We do have a football culture here, but it has to be winning.
Yes.
Jamaican fan base, whether football, track and field, or cricket, the slightest blunder, they throw you by the side. You heard Asafa Powell and Elaine complain about that before. And it's the same thing in football.
So you're saying that we are wagonists?
No, we're not wagonists, but we're very in tune with winning.
Yes.
And if you're losing, they are not going to support you. So if you want to say wagonist in terms of winning the games, yes. But wagonist really means you're supporting a team and it's not doing well, you jump on another team. So in the essence of winning, yes.
But we support, what you're saying then is that we support winners. And winners. So what we saw at the National Stadium last evening was not just supporting our own team, Cavaliers SC, but really supporting a particular gentleman, Lionel Messi.
Oh, by miles.
Lionel. I told someone, because when I heard that the match was going to be held, I heard through the ministry that the match was coming on the 13th of March. I'm like, I will not be anywhere near the National Stadium. Can't manage the crowd. Diego, rest up Diego. But we have our, we love who we love. But I knew, Siobhan, that everywhere around the National Stadium was going to be roadblock, corner to bank, walls and other things would be breached because the GOAT, the Ballon d'Or winner 8 times over, would be in the National Stadium. I knew that.
Let me put it another way for you.
Tell me, yes.
I told everybody, not within a 5-mile radius would you catch me near the stadium.
So you were not there?
No, but I watched it on the TV. I was laughing like crazy. I was not going to endure that fight. I've seen Lionel Messi play in his heyday for Barcelona live, so yes. I was okay. But I'll give you another scenario. If you were to interview everybody in that stadium last night, I'm pretty sure 80% doesn't know anything about Cavaliers.
And that is actually where I wanted to bring in Andrew Price into the discussion now. It seems that, yes, it's the people like Lionel Messi, and I know there are a lot of Jamaicans passionate about the English Premier League and the overseas clubs, but
people, yes.
But you don't seem to see that kind of national stadium filling crowd for our local champions here for football.
Well, maybe not now, but I remember back in the days on the road to France when some people are probably not yet formed fully, that the national stadium was blocked. So we were there in colours. But again, because as you know, you're saying Charlie Edwards, Jamaica loves winners. And we were on a road in the 1998 period.
So Andrew Price, where has that passion gone for our local football?
Well, I am a little bit different from Coach Edwards. Jamaica loves football, but we don't have a football culture. A football culture is something embedded in society, and you only find those things in Europe and in South America, where local teams have massive crowds that turn out week in, week out to support the teams feverishly. We don't have that in Jamaica. We used to have it in the early 70s.
We had it,
but we don't have it anymore.
We used to have it back in the days. Yes, it was very strong back in the days. I remember going to high school, St. Jago High School, and we'd leave school to go home to Linstead to support Dintale Technical High School, D-Cup champions, Olivia. We would be all over traveling to stadium to support the leagues. We would follow these things. We had stars from our communities, Devon, Brooks. We had a lot of people would follow. People were climbing the wall to follow. So we had a lot of that. But I think that you're right, that, you know, it has changed significantly. You have to tell us and help us to understand what changed.
Well, what has happened is things have changed over time. There are different things that are attracting people. There is the advent of television where people can watch different sports on television. There are video games. There is social media. Different things that distract people. Back in those days, an entertainment was carrying the family to the National Stadium to go and watch a Premier League match between Boys Town and Santos in the early 70s, where the stadium would be filled to the rafters. But now there are so many other things that people can do. We don't have that feverish commitment. I mean, we have always brought international teams here in the 70s. We have brought Watford when John Barnes and Luther Blissett was playing. Stadium was packed. Stephen Hill used to bring a lot of teams in the early 80s. We brought Corinthians here with Dr. Socrates. The stadium was jam-packed when that happened.
Pele, remember the great Pele came here in 1971 and played against Cavaliers, and it was a 1-1 draw because we were not going to smile and nod and be starstruck. We were fighting. I remember he was tackled. He was not given a chance to run through and score a goal because Jamaica was very serious at that time. We loved Pele. We gave him the keys to the city and a whole lot of other things that me not sure about. But we go on the field and we defend Jamaica. You know, we were very there was Cavaliers.
Can I correct you with something there?
Yes.
When Billy Perkins tackled Pele and hurt him and he had to come off,
Perkins.
Billy Perkins.
I remember.
The crowd came to watch Pele.
Yes.
And that was what he was most remembered for. Billy Perkins sit down Pele in the national
Perkins,
stadium.
yes, that was the name of the player. Perkins, he tackled Pele.
Billy Perkins.
Yes, Billy Perkins. I remember that.
Centre back for Jamaica. Former centre.
Yes.
So what has happened is that over time things have changed. We are a country of winners, and we are wagonists at this point in time. The crowd that we saw last night, we haven't seen since the 98 World Cup qualification. And that's how Jamaican people are. We like to support winners. And once we have that star power that is coming here, that's the only thing that will pull Jamaicans out. You don't see that type of crowd when Jamaica is currently playing international games at the office. You don't see those crowds anymore. And I think we must give Cavaliers a lot of credit for getting into the CONCACAF round of 16, and so they lucky enough to draw Inter Miami with Lionel Messi and Suarez.
Yes.
To draw so many people out last night. There are a lot of people who have never been to the stadium in about 10 to 20 years that came out last night.
And there are a lot of people who are not supported. They don't know anything about football, but they
Lionel
know
Messi
big excitement. But you know what I want to ask you, gentlemen, about Siobhan? You must have seen the pictures on social media that shifted away the conversation from the minister and that car and all these things. So we saw a lot of pictures on social media and conversations about the Jamaicans and the representing of what it is we are and who we are. A lot of people were there in Argentina shirts.
Yeah.
A lot of people were there. I saw people in Barcelona shirts. I
Yeah.
saw people in shirts. I think Manchester Man U shirts. I saw people in Inter Miami shirts wearing pink, and then there were several people there in the Jamaican colours and in white for Cavaliers. But more people seemed to be representing on behalf of the non-Jamaican side.
And
Talk
you know,
to us.
I've
Yes.
always wondered about that because I've said it in People News when I said my team. They're not talking about the Jamaican football team. They're talking about the Manchester United and those teams. Where is that coming from?
Something here, though.
Go ahead.
We are chastising our fans, which, you know, they deserve it. But remember, when Lionel Messi went to Inter Miami,
yes,
even the big superstar entertainers were buying season tickets and turning up to see him play.
Yes.
So it's not just Jamaica. This man is one of the best, or maybe ranked number one for many, or number two, whatever it is. But he pulls the crowd wherever he goes. One phenomenon.
We definitely saw that last night.
Oh, definitely. There, like I said earlier, there are many people who were there last night who have absolutely no clue about Cavaliers.
But we still have to give, as you say, gentlemen, credit to Cavaliers and to
definitely
to the entire team, and of course to Mr. Speed for bringing that particular match, the engagement, the spectacle into the national stadium, into the office, so that Jamaicans could participate at home and people all across the world could participate through the television feed. Because it was a marvelous spectacle.
It was definitely a win for marketing and public and perception.
Well, talking about marketing, I must give credit to Minister Olivia Grange. She did yeoman service from the point that Messi landed in this country to meet him at the airport, to give him a Bob Marley shirt. I think that is one of the reasons why we actually saw Messi play so many minutes yesterday. Because a lot of people aren't aware that Messi was carrying a knock and hadn't played for about 2 weeks.
Yes.
Prior to coming here. And I think that is what influenced him to tell the coach, instead of giving me 10 minutes, let me give them a 30-minute cameo. So we got more than we bargained for, because nobody really expected Messi to play so much. But I believe the type of hospitality that we showed him on his arrival here and while he was here, I think it sort of influenced him to go out on the field, and the script couldn't have been written any better than him scoring that last goal in the last minute.
Oh yes.
But tell me, Charlie Edwards, isn't there still a level of concern that as many aspects of Jamaican culture are, there's a level of erosion and this adoption of more foreign idols and norms that is slowly and steadily just replacing Jamaican cultural identity? Isn't that a concern that we should address?
I don't think you need to address it. That has been eroded long time ago, because most Jamaicans will tell you more about a foreign-based player, most top-class foreign-based players, than they can about their local players.
True.
When you sit down in a sports bar to watch a game, it's amazing how much these Jamaican players and fans know about the foreign-based players. Sometimes I sit down and I'm listening to them and I'm marveling about it. They can tell you everything, where they're from, how many games they played for their country, all these things. Flip it around and ask them about a Jamaican local-based player.
And that is something that we have to, probably find a way, maybe the JFF and others in the industry here in Jamaica, maybe try to find a way to return the fans to local football in that way, because you're right. And I mean, when FIFA World Cup unleashes itself, Jamaica shuts down for a month.
Oh, definitely.
We shut down for a month. We travel with the little card and we marking out, and we go, like myself, I go and I go and back read all things that happened in the different leagues, so I know which player to follow, and we all have a team. All of us have a team.
Andrew Price just spoke about marketing a while ago, and what the minister did. was fantastic. But can't we, not necessarily on our level, but from a JFF point of view and the Premier League Association, from week to week, highlight a couple of players and, market them, blow them up in the media, allow the Jamaican people, the fans, to get to know who these players are, who your national players are, all of these things.
Yes.
Market them, sell them. That could maybe help in the development of the culture in terms of supporting the football a little more.
Yes.
But Andrew Price, isn't the problem also the quality of the game here has declined somewhat? I mean, outside of those rare moments where you can really galvanize support for football, such as the Jamaica Reggae Girls reaching the World Cup recently, and the Reggae Boys reaching the World Cup back in, I think it was 1998. What has happened to the quality of the game where we seem to not be able to repeat these feats at regular times? Unlike when the Olympics is out, we know that Jamaica is going to have a good representation there.
I just believe that we are a country of organists, and we have to be doing well. I mean, since '98, we haven't had the crowd at the national stadium when Jamaica is playing, and we have to just accept that Jamaica likes a team that is winning. I mean, I remember the day that we qualified against Mexico in 1997. There was almost 2 times the amount of people outside the national stadium that were inside the national stadium. And you don't have that. And you question it. Why is it when schoolboy football is playing, we see so many people trying to attend schoolboy football games, but when the local clubs are playing, we don't see them come out in the numbers. And some of these people who attend these schoolboy games didn't go to the school that they're supporting. And it comes back that we are not vested into our local athletes. Maybe at the track level, you go to national trials, you can barely get the grandstand filled. We don't come out in numbers to support our locals. But once we are on the world stage, and once the eye of the entire world is on these individuals, that is when we run to the television or we run to the national stadium to go and show support. So we have to increase our sporting culture and support to our athletes locally and give them the type of support that they deserve. And, like I said, I don't believe that we have a football culture. We love the sport, but we don't have a football culture.
Thank you, Jensen. Do you have...
No, go. It's okay. We have to take the time signal. So will we come back after the time signal to finish up, gentlemen? Stay with us.
Yes.
Jamaica's Spark program is investing $45 billion to improve roads, water, and telecom. Better infrastructure for a better future. The time by Spark is...
It's 7:01. Welcome back, listeners. We're talking about Jamaica's football fan culture. Does it exist or not? The experts we have on, that is Reggae Girls' former head coach Charlie Edwards and coach and football analyst Andrew Price. Both of them think, no, Jamaica does not have a football fan culture. As Professor Hope puts it, she believes we have a bit of a bandwagonist culture where we love winners, not necessarily
I know. Remember, Andrew
itself.
Price, who has a long, long connection with what we are talking about, has been involved in different ways. It's agreeing with me that we have a wagonist culture, and I see a lot of our listeners on the YouTube talking about the fact that we love winners, which is also what head coach Charlie Edwards is telling us. Jamaicans love winners. We love people who are winning. We want to support winners. And in today's world, you want to take a picture or you show yourself as somebody that is high placed. You want to be involved with winners. That has something to do with what you are doing now. And the connection with our schoolboy football going into the clubs and the Premier League, there is that disconnection that has occurred now in this era that is different from when I was much younger. Something that we have to rescue. And you're right, Andrew Price and Charlie Edwards, we have to put strategies in place to build this back so people can support the teams at all levels, whether or not they are in the front seat, because the support is what gives them the drive.
Precisely.
Yes. So strategies, any kind of suggestions or strategies for the way forward, Andrew Price, Charlie Edwards?
Well, one of the things I think, even with the Jamaica Football Federation now, they have to step up their marketing now. We have a game in another 2 weeks. where we play St. Vincent in the Gold Cup qualification. And we need to start a promotion like yesterday. You know, we have to drive people to come to the stadium, make the prices reasonable so that they can come out in their numbers and come and support the team. Start promoting the players. We have a lot of local players who are plying their trade overseas. Start promoting them, tell the people what they are doing in the various clubs that they play for in Europe and in CONCACAF or in South America. Let them know what they are doing and promote them so we can drive the public and give them a reason to come out and support the national team. And similar things that the clubs have to do. The clubs have to start doing some marketing, start promoting merchandising, start selling shirts. It's not only a Manchester United shirt or an Arsenal shirt people want to wear. Start making people proud to wear a Cavalier shirt, proud to wear a Mount Pleasant shirt, proud to wear a Mobile United shirt. Start selling those, having them at reasonable prices where people can have access to them, and start driving the crowds back to the game.
And start showcasing celebrities that, you know, we saw quite a few celebrities, Sean Paul, many others, not just sports celebrities, but music celebrities and others who were in the National Stadium. They were there.
Let them be ambassadors for the league.
Yes.
Let them be ambassadors for the Jamaica Football Federation. Let them do ads and commercials inviting people to come and fill the National Stadium.
But Charlie Edwards, it always comes down to the matter of funding. Does Jamaica have the kind of funding and support where it can make those kinds of promotions?
Oh, definitely. If you can go out and buy a Manchester United shirt or a Liverpool shirt or anything like that, a Jamaica shirt might be much less than that. You can buy it. I agree totally with what Andrew Price just said. If you get celebrities to promo these merchandising, like I've seen Shenseea wearing a national shirt before, and I've seen one or two, but you need to get them wearing them and use it as marketing tools. They'll buy it.
And you have to make them available. But they have to also be available. It's not just have because I remember seeing Shenseea wearing one of the shirts, and I was asking, you know, could I get one? And I was told that it's really for the team. We couldn't get any. So to get shirts as supporters to buy some of the team jerseys for our locals is very difficult. I mean, I have a Barcelona shirt. I was in Spain and I went into the store and bought a Barcelona shirt. I think we lost. Did we lose Andrew Price? Yes, we did. So so we are getting back Andrew Price, but continuing conversation with former Reggae Girls head coach John Edwards. So I own a Barcelona shirt.
Barcelona shirt, you know, I'm going to disappear too.
No, I don't. I'm just saying, you're in Barcelona, you're gonna buy a shirt.
Because I'm saying a Real Madrid shirt. Okay?
I'll take all shirts. It's Jamaica football. I came up in football culture, and people are saying, "Oh, so Professor Hope a bigger man." I'm a bigger man. I never tell anybody I was not a bigger man, but that kind of culture, you know, Siobhan, we need it. We need to build it because football is working class and Jamaican unites people.
I'm going to add to your story a little bit there. I remember once someone, family member from the US, asked me to get the national jersey, and I could not get one. The JFF had none. The stores had none. We had to buy it in Miami.
Yes.
No, that's not good.
That's an indictment.
You should have a lot of shirts here. Even sometimes, you know, give away one or two shirts at the stadium. Get these superstars to appear at the stadium in a shirt or in some promo in the paper. We need to sell it.
And Charlie Edwards, I mean, as you pointed out, this problem doesn't exist at the schoolboy level. Whether it's his track and field or football, they are very well supported by the, I suppose, playing off of the inter-school rivalries. Why can't we have something like that translate to, for example, the RNFA Premier League?
I don't know, but the schoolboy sports or schoolgirl sports tend to create this vibration around the country where it gets this crazy support. Look at champs. You know, look at the Manning Cup. Look at even the cricket competition sometimes. And I'm beginning to believe that it's the rivalry and being a past student and still, you know, feeling like a part of your school. People go out and they support.
Yes.
But this is what the JFF needs to do now. Get people to feel like a part of the team.
Yes.
Don't have us going to the stadium, going to find out who is playing. Who are these players? Where's this one from again? You know, let us know the players. Give us the information. Promote them in the paper. Sell it. It's a product. Sell it.
And I understand we have Andrew Price back?
Here.
Yes, Mr. Price. I mean, extending on the conversation there, based on the analyst from Charlie Edwards, why then can we not have that same spirit for the Premier League and the professional game of football here in Jamaica, when many of the same people, they find the success and they go overseas, and that is when we celebrate them as Jamaicans. For when Raheem Sterling goes over and plays for a UK club, we celebrate it there. But why wasn't he getting that level of celebration when he's playing here in Jamaica?
Well, one of the things is that we in Jamaica, as clubs, as the federation, which is a member association, we don't promote the game enough. We need to promote the game more, drive people out. As I said, over the last 3-4 decades, a lot has changed, where there are other things that we're competing against. When you didn't have to promote a major league or a national league game in the early 70s, you have to do it, and do it immensely now to get people to come out and support the game. So, we have to look at the situation and find unique ways of getting people out and getting them to the games on a regular basis. And that's why making the sport attractive. Start doing unique things where we draw people out. You have quizzes where you can get tickets to come to games. If you inquire about players who scored the most goals last week in the Premier round, for the round in the Premier League, those sort of things that drive people to want to come out. That's the only way we're going to get people out, because guess what? There are so many other things that they can be doing or they can be watching. And of course, once the TV is there, once Liverpool or Manchester United or Arsenal is playing, every man is going to find somewhere to watch that game at 3 o'clock. And if Portmore is playing Mount Pleasant at the same time, you know who is going to win.
You know who is going to win. That is true. Who is going to get the eyes and the ears? Indeed.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for the discussion. We had former Reggae Girls head coach Charlie Edwards and coach and football analyst Andrew Price. Thank you. It's definitely something that we will have to look to again in the future. How can we get Jamaicans to wrap their minds and their spirits and their wallets around the local football game? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good weekend. Thank you.
Campbell, Professor Donna Open, Andrew Price, and all the listeners have a very good evening. Stay safe.
Thank you.
So, before we go to the break, just a slight bit of news. I understand there is a fire at the Norman Manley International Airport. We're not sure to what extent is the severity of that fire. As we get more information, we'll pass it on. But just for those listening, there has been confirmed that there is a fire at the Norman Manley International Airport. But we will take your calls after these messages, listeners. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255.
Join us for the Intellibuzz AI Hackathon, Saturday, March 15 and Sunday, March 16 at the AC Marriott Hotel in Kingston. It's 24 hours of transformational coding. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, come show us what you've got. Plus, get a chance to win a share of 2.3 million Jamaican dollars in cash and prizes and a new job. Register now at www.intellibuzzhackathon.com. Come build, innovate, and win.
The NWC's Bill Free promotion is here. Be one of 350 persons to get $20,000 water credit when you pay your bill in full every month until March 31, 2025. And there's more. Oh yes, you can win $300,000, $200,000 or $100,000 cash in the NWC's Bill Free promotion. If you register for e-bill and pay your bill in full every month until March 31, conditions apply. Visit nwcjamaica.com for details. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act, a part of the NWC's bucket full of goodies.
It's tax season. Time to reach for your checkbook or dole out the cash. Or maybe not. Discover an easier way to pay your taxes. Use your Sagicor Bank Business Credit Card. You'll get a 1-month payment holiday, up to 55 days interest-free, and unlimited rewards points on every dollar you spend. Discover how easy and convenient it is to pay your taxes with your Sagicor Bank Business Credit Card. Don't have a Sagicor Bank Business Credit Card? Visit Sagicor.com to apply for yours today. Conditions apply.
Attention motorists, it's time to switch to the T-Tag on Trans-Jam highways. Our automated T-Tag lanes reduce the cost of managing cash at our toll plazas, and drivers of Class 1 and 2 vehicles who use the T-Tag pay a lower toll fare than those who use the manually operated toll booths. They also get their 10th trip through any toll plaza free. The T-Tag makes it quicker, more cost-efficient, and safer for our customers. So switch to the T-Tag today and experience the convenience. T-Tag packages are discounted to only $1,500, including a $500 toll credit from now until March 31st.
Get ready for Talk the Things, a night of captivating poetry and storytelling at Jamnesia Surf Club, Bull Bay, St. Thomas on Saturday, March 22 at 6 p.m. featuring incredible performances by award-winning talents like Joel Jawara Ellis, Kwame McPherson, Britton Wright, Casey Garvey, and many more. Tickets are only $1,000. Get yours now at buzzworld.com or contact 876-542-5943. Don't miss this unforgettable night of talent, creativity, and culture. Produced by Jaico Professional Poets. Sponsored by Nationwide 90 FM.
Welcome back, listeners, to Nationwide at 5. We're into the third and final hour, taking your calls. The numbers are 630-9371-4 and 618-8255. Ulrich, you're on the line. Good evening.
Good evening, Ulrich.
Good evening, Siobhan. Good evening, Professor. How are you guys doing?
We're doing quite well. Doing very well. Doing well.
Professor, welcome to the big station.
Thank you.
I hope you will enjoy your stay here. You normally come maybe now and then when the card it looks like you're going to be here for a while.
I will do my best.
We come hard, the Nationwide family, whether it's YouTube or callers, we come hard at the guys who are sitting around the microphone. Siobhan can tell us you're not be getting any.
I am sure Professor Hope is more than up to that challenge.
Thank you, Siobhan. Thank you, Siobhan. But yes, you know that I can take care of myself. And I see people trying to lyrics me on YouTube. Gentlemen, all of you have good lyrics. So I'm not taking you on. Gentlemen on YouTube. But talk to us. Yes, man.
I'm not going to bowl any lollipops or long ups. I get some bumpers and some cookies. So I hope you can take us on.
I will do my best. So what you're sharing with us this evening? You just pass your
I want to share with Siobhan. I heard him trying to dissect the opposition spokesman and the budget. And there's two things about it bothers me.
What's that?
Not clear to me. And I know Siobhan is like a semi-guru on the money.
I wouldn't go so far. I'm just someone who understands to a little more than an average Jamaican.
What I don't understand is Siobhan.
It was light on details, you know. I wish I could give you an explanation as to what he's trying to accomplish with that. Maybe he has said more elsewhere, but I mean, he hasn't really given much meat other than to say he is exploring a flat rate for senior citizens. And even then, he said it might vary based on consumption and other factors. It really sounds like the type of things that you're going to have to put pen to paper and explain to the Jamaican people in a more detailed fashion.
Siobhan and the Professor, I would have thought that he would have, if they were giving thought to people over 65, I would have thought that the electricity bill would be a good way to go. In terms of water, a lot of people out in the countryside don't have pipe water, don't pay electricity, don't pay pipe bills for water, but they pay bills for electricity. I think that if you wanted to grab the attention of people like myself who are over 65, you would have mentioned something like electricity, Siobhan.
Oh, well, here's the thing, though, why he can say that in terms of the NWC and not the JPS. Remember, JPS is an independent company and its rate is negotiated with the Office of Utilities Regulation. The government has more direct hand in NWC and can control in a more direct fashion what the NWC sets as a rate.
Indeed. And that's probably the reason why it would be a focus on the National Water Commission, Ulrich, because of the role that the government plays in the NWC, a much bigger role than they do in the Jamaica Public Service. This is not like back in the days. This is a different timeline, yes. Mm-hmm.
And I'm fairly certain if somebody went to the JPS and tell them that we're going to force you to give a flat rate, they're not going to accept that.
And you know, the concern that people will have with the flat rate, Alric and Siobhan, is that households are different. So even if a senior citizen is the person whose name is on the bill or responsible, how many people live in the house, how much water they're going to use. So a means test will have to be done, who lives there, the consumption rate. So one house might use 2 gallons per month, another might use 200 or 2,000. So there's a lot that people would have to be clear on before you get to that kind of decision on behalf of the budget of the country. It will have to be absorbed somewhere.
Precisely. And based on the presentation, I don't even know if the People's National Party has worked that out, because they said they're going to establish a working group to work out the actual specifics. So I don't even know if the People's National Party understands what they're undertaking here.
Okay, the second point before I go, you spoke about getting children, maybe even up to tertiary level, to have one nutritious meals per day. Meal per day. Wasn't that a program that was started a couple of years ago with the Nutribun and the milk thing, and fell into a lot of trouble and other things, their administration?
Well, that is another, and this is my specific opinion. I had a problem with that statement put forward by Mr. Robinson, because that is why we have the PATH program. And I know he's going to say, well, not everybody is on PATH, but remember that the Auditor General just recently came out with a report that says we are having this bad habit of duplicating programs which are pretty much doing the exact same thing. And with that duplication comes additional administrative costs, logistical costs, and other burdens to the taxpayer. Why not simply expand the PATH program and further lower the ceiling, essentially, to get more people on that program? And essentially that would solve the problem without further duplication. I don't know if I really feel that there's a need for another entirely new program to do the same thing.
These programs, you know, the logistics and the administrative and all that, a lot of the money that you would have allocated from taxes that we pay goes to running the program. And
oh yes, and Auditor General pointed that out recently. Remember,
why not suggest an upgrade of the present program?
But you know that, Alric and Siobhan, that the normal run of our political landscape is that when a party comes into power, even if there is a particular program that may be working well, you either build a new program that is a satellite to it that does the same thing, or you rename and start over because you want to have some kind of ownership over the program. But the PATH program is doing pretty well, and these programs have existed for a very long time, where we try to ensure that the young people and young people in school, not so young people, get some kind of nutrition to carry them at least part of the day. So it's a good idea, but we already have something in place that can be expanded or improved.
And let's be honest about what it is, and this is not a knock against the People's National Party, because the JLP does it sometimes too. It's just a simple fact. You don't want, as Donahoe pointed out, you don't want to essentially say, well, we're going to expand the PATH program. It doesn't sound sexy. It sounds sexy when you say, oh, I'm going to put in this big ease program to make it better for Jamaicans to get a nutritious meal when they go to school. It sounds sexy. But when you say, well, we're going to review the PATH program and make it more efficient and allow more people to be on, it just doesn't sound as nice. It doesn't ring and resonate as well with the Jamaican people. But it is really a kind of a pointless duplication, in my opinion. I'd love to hear more details from Mr. Robinson as to how this would work separate and differently from the PATH program, but I just don't see the need.
Well, thank you, guys. That were my two biggest concerns. Professor, welcome again.
Thanks,
Enjoy
Alric.
your stay at Nationwide, and you guys enjoy the weekend. Big up on yourself.
Thank you. Same to you. Yes.
Cleveland, good evening.
Yes, Mr. Siobhan, how are you doing?
Hi, Cleveland. How you doing?
Hi, Miss Donna.
Nice to hear you, man. Yes.
Listening to Nationwide from day one, I didn't realize that you were working even on Breakfast Club.
Yes, man. And when I hear Alric talking, people who know my history know that there was a point when the Very, very, very early nationwide. I know they're celebrating 20 years, but very, very early nationwide, long before a lot of people. I had just finished UWI and I came to try out, but then I went back to UWI after Breakfast Club and went into academia. So yes, so I've been doing a lot of stuff in the media, but nationwide as it is holding its own, doing a great deal of work, and we have a lot of young guns like Siobhan and Ricardo and everybody really coming out strong, and Tana, everybody. So it's doing very, very, very important.
Quite well.
Me not 15, me love young people, me love everybody. I'm going 15, man. Me 15, so you can hear me.
So welcome.
Thank you. Yes.
Tell me something. Is it that the Adventists have more people working in government than anybody else?
You mean in response to that Saturday opening of the tax office conversation?
Yes.
Let me say to you, though, you know, that, and I'm because when I heard the comment coming on behalf of people who celebrate the Sabbath, the Adventists, that they have a concern about this decision to open the tax offices and make people who work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, have an opportunity to conduct their business. Remember, the Adventists have to speak on behalf of their constituents, and I'm being diplomatic here because what percentage of persons working in these enterprises are Adventists, and how many of them will be tasked to take up the Saturday schedule when people do make special arrangements for persons who are Sabbath keepers in their entities? You know, that kind of thing. It's a question nobody's asking.
But on the government, as if the government against religion.
But I don't think, unless they're forcing people who keep the Sabbath to work on a Saturday, I don't see an issue with. I would love to see more of these essential services provided on weekends. For example, wouldn't you?
I don't know why they have to be squealing.
You see the almighty rush to get into a bank on most weekdays. When imagine if you could just go to a bank on a Saturday.
But there was a time when a lot of these places to open on a Saturday. You know, we used to have a lot of Saturday. Post office to open on Saturday. A lot of places to open on Saturday, and then they changed the system, so 9 to 5 workers locked in offices, traffic and all of that, have to find time from them lunch before work.
And it eats
it's
into
horrible.
productivity.
Man. They mustn't squeal for everything, so man. No, not to do it.
They have to defend their constituents, Cleveland.
Yeah, but I don't see where they have to even say anything. You know something last night with the football match?
Yes.
I don't think nobody watched news last night, you know. I never remember nothing about news. My son asked me, wait, what's the news? Couldn't leave the football match at all last night.
You enjoy yourself. So you shout loud when Messi. Did you shout loud when Messi scored?
No, not especially. I'm not really a fan like that. I just love watch the game because my grandson he makes sure put on a Messi shirt.
I mean, even people I didn't know were big football fans. I realized it came out quite in them colors yesterday.
And that's the only time I sit down for watch the football really.
Yes, but
but
you have been a football fan for all your life then.
I watch football because I have a lot of my children then, because I have one set cheer for Arsenal, I have another set cheer for Liverpool.
Okay.
So you can imagine now the argument they have.
The excitement. Excitement. They
and
get very excited.
They one another.
Yes, they get very excited and shed tears.
Yes.
I know.
I noticed that Mr. Robinson didn't have a press conference today. Is it deliberate or are they waiting until next week or so?
I would assume, and this is just my assumption, that they will wait till after Mr. Golding makes his presentation to have their post-budget debate briefing, and then they will probably have another one after the finance minister closes the budget debate.
Yeah, because it would be nice to hear how they expect to find money to do all of these things that they announce.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, I used to be on flat rate, and they took me off because I think they did change out the meters them at that time there, and then they start charging.
Flat rate water?
Yes, flat rate water.
Yes, in the rural areas, a lot of people used to be on flat rate water, particularly in the rural areas. Yes,
and up here in Red Hills, quite a few people were on flat rate until they start putting meters, right?
But that would probably be based on consumption, though, wouldn't it?
Well,
And I think it was also the overheads. They were trying to ensure that the Water Commission could begin to cover some of its own bill because people are using the water. They had to provide them with the service, and they wanted to begin collecting more revenue based on consumption and not just,
But what they say would happen now for them? Think they will collect money to run the Water Commission based on the Water Commission trying to expand themselves out especially in the parishes and so. How would they be able to find the money to do all of those things if they're going to do all of that? Not that it would be a good thing still, especially for we the older people. But based on how I know some of these people and some of them dying to see it happen because then we make a big money out of it when whatever go on.
As I said, I think sometimes simplicity is best, and the way that this was explained by Mr. Robinson, I said I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that there's more detail to come regarding that. But the way it was explained to me, it sounds very complicated in terms of the many restrictions and rules and different categories you would have to put in place to make it feasible. For example, say an elderly person with 3 children and their children living in the same building.
Yeah, don't forget the family unit, the extent. But again, it is useful for our society to remember that we do have to provide at least a hand up for people, the elderly, people who are not as well resourced. And that's something we have been doing for many. If we do that all along. So in a lot of ways, it's not a bad suggestion. But as you say, Siobhan, and I've heard people ask that how you have to hear now, how you would resource it, where would the resources come from, how will it be managed? We have to hear that. We have to hear that, and that's what it is.
I mean, not to knock my boss, but Cliff Hughes water rate, I don't think should be the same as Miss Natty down by Duhaney Park.
Uncle Cliff, you hear them over here with your name, Uncle Cliff. Yeah, but again, the Water Commission is also offering some amnesty to people who have. So we hear a lot of things are happening where they're trying to regularize people who are already on the system. And remember, we come from country, we always have a tank and a big drum outside. We always have a drum on the back. Everybody have a drum, Siobhan. Always. So
anyhow, all the best. Next somebody else get the
Indeed.
Have a good night, Cleveland.
I think we're on the break.
Okay, we're up on the break, listeners. And when we come back again, your calls are 630-937-124 and 618-8255.
Apply for your Sagicor Bank Preferred Prepaid MasterCard today. Load your remittances for everyday spending. Receive cash transfers from any local bank. The time by Sagicor Bank is...
It's 7:30.
Calling all tradesmen, small contractors, skilled workmen, and small entrepreneurs. Whether you want to start or expand your business or get equipment for your projects, Total Tools will help you tool up and expand your business. Get up to $500,000 to borrow, up to 2 years to repay, and interest rates as low as 3.99%. Come for your loan to get your tools. Offer ends June 2025. Visit Total Tools in Kingston, Ocho Rios, and Drex Hall to get a loan for every tool and every trade.
The National Land Agency assists landowners to register their land under the Systematic Land Registration Program. Systematic Land Registration is the orderly and methodical way of registering land within a designated project area. For more info on whether your community is covered under the Systematic Land Registration Program, visit nla.gov.jm for a list of all the declared project areas or call 876-750-5263. The National Land Agency. One agency, one goal. To serve you better.
Join us for the IntelliBuzz AI Hackathon, Saturday, March 15 and Sunday, March 16 at the AC Marriott Hotel in Kingston. It's 24 hours of transformational coding. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, come show us what you've got. Plus, get a chance to win a share of 2.3 million Jamaican dollars in cash and prizes and a new job. Register now at www.intellibuzzhackathon.com. Come build, innovate, and win.
Welcome
back. Yes. I was only asking if we're only getting male callers. The ladies don't call us. Barely. Ladies, you need to call in,
we have female calls from time to time.
Yes. Omalo, we have on the line. Welcome, nationwide at 5. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Professor.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, Siobhan.
Evening, Omalo.
Siobhan, there is an issue out there that I really wish to put my 2 cents on.
Go ahead.
And that is the issue with the doctors and nurses from Cuba. And there is a lot of leaders there's a lot of YouTube and social media posts coming from leaders throughout the Caribbean stating what they would do. We here in Jamaica have the experience of what America power is when it comes on to their action, not just by taking away visa, but if they see like visa is not working, they push it to another level. Yeah? We here in Jamaica witnessed what happened to us, and we are just barely recovering from what took place in the 70s. We here in Jamaica must understand that we have to understand geopolitics in order to run a nation and not emotion to run a nation. We hear politicians in the Caribbean saying that they would give up their visa, but in the same breath, they're saying they don't have any Cuban working in their country.
Exactly. They don't have any skin. They don't have any skin in the game.
They don't have any skin in the game.
Yes.
And they say they would be at the front of the line. Well, get to the front of the line by start arrowing the 400 where they are Jamaica, so that they can have a job, so you can go at the front of the line when if that time should come, if we don't come out to a settlement where they could work here, and Jamaica could be less under the pressure of the United States, where most of our export, tourism, and almost BPO money and everything come from.
Now, you know, Omalo, that you're raising some very important points about the kind of geopolitical environment that we live in currently, but also that we have come out of historically, and how Jamaica has to be very diplomatic regardless of who is the leader.
Precisely.
In dealing with this particular issue that impacts us directly, because we do have a long-standing history of being connected to Cuba and utilizing Cuban labor in our medical areas a lot. And so I have seen a lot of the very emotional responses to what Jamaicans see as the way to go, but we have to be diplomatic and careful, because our connections to the United States of America and its allies are very deep, and we have suffered quite a lot in the 70s coming out of the relationships that our government and our society had with Cuba and its allies. So we have to be very careful how we deal with that. And I think the government, Siobhan, indicated that they will be looking for replacements from other areas. That was the thing I saw.
As a last resort.
No, as a last resort, but not frontally addressing the visa issue at all.
Yeah, because emotion don't run a country, and emotions will never feed our nation. Yeah, so we have to be very careful. And so far, I like the government respond and not out there on social media taking any stance as if they don't understand geopolitics and world power. We have to understand power, We have to understand we don't even have oil in this country, and look what they did to Venezuela. We don't have what the resources, what Ukraine have, and look what they do to Ukraine. We don't have nothing that the Middle East people, and look what they do to these type of people. And then we must come and say, okay, we don't like your policy, and this is the stand that we are going to take. And how do we benefit from that?
But you know that Omalo, and I'm looking at some of the comments in the YouTube chat, that Jamaicans love a kind of confrontational leader, one that displays, at least very frontally, that he or she is clear on the sovereignty of the nation and must respond to the US of A in a very forthright manner. You know that this is what many people are expecting.
Yeah, because
but I wonder if
looking for a populous leader, a leader that gives them some sense of feeling where they never had before, like they are somebody, not knowing that there is greater things other than just what you're feeling.
But
This is not about we are not crawling on our knee, but at the same time in an hotel working out an IMF deal with the IMF. We have to understand history.
I hear you, Omalo, but I think what a lot of people need to remember, that. And I'm not trying to knock any country in the region, but Jamaica is a very complex economy comparative to a lot of the other nations in the Caribbean.
Indeed.
And our politics is also very complex, and it is mixed with and intrinsically linked with the United States. So a lot of leaders in the region can say what they want because they have very simplistic systems. I know Ralph Gonsalves has been over at St. Vincent and Grenadines for 14 years, and I don't see him being unseated based on a simple comment saying that he would restrict his visa. I don't see Mia Motley being unseated in Barbados because she says she's going to restrict her visa. But Jamaica has very complex political systems where making certain statements can be the death knell of a political leadership.
But also, Siobhan and Omalo, historically in the region, Jamaica has been the flashpoint for many activities in our region. In the 1938 riots, we led out, the labor movement came out of that, the political systems came out of that, and a lot of what happened in the Cold War era and how we were impacted. Here, a lot of what happened, Jamaica became a major flashpoint, and we suffered a lot for it. We got juke up, lick up, beat up because of that.
Should be ashamed of himself. If you are running a country and you're in power that long, and you can train your people them to give the service to your people, and after they come in here saying you can't give this service without these people, they should be kicking him out at the same time.
But Omali, you have to remember the mindset, and Dr. Hope can come in here, that fuels that. It's the same post-colonial anti-imperial mindset that fuels a lot of the regional politics in the Caribbean, whereas Jamaica has moved away from that somewhat to a more liberal Western Hemisphere centric mindset.
But also the post-Cold War, remember the post-Cold War conversation, critical, and I think that's what Omalo is speaking to. The post-Cold War conversation, we have to be building ourselves and strengthening our backs and take a one joke here, and because we have to be bobbing and weaving when all of these things are happening in North America and elsewhere. We have to be very careful.
We paid dearly for the 70s. And we are not, but and this was the cause, basically, our kissing up with Cuba. We love the Cubans. We would love to do anything for the Cubans and everything for the Cubans, but we have to understand the dynamics in the world and our power in the world and where we stand in the world when we are acting. We cannot make 400 odd nurses and doctors yet determine 3 million odd people sufferation.
It's an odd time when I'm actually agreeing with you, Omalo. This is one of those rare unicorn days. But even then, at the forefront of my mind are the Cuban nurses and doctors. I really would like to know, are they being exploited by their own government, being at least partially coerced into coming to Jamaica to reap money for them to send back to the Cuban government? I would love to know if that is the case. And if that is the case, I am not. And if that is truly the case, Omar, I'm saying to Dr. Tufton, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, cut ties. If that is really the case, that we're exploiting labor and benefiting from exploited labor, cut ties with Cuba.
But we're not going to, because this conversation can take us very far. But based on the way that Cuba set itself up as a society. Remember, people are trained by the Cuban government, and then their labor is exported so that it can benefit the society and themselves. That was the arrangement that society is based on. And we have been, in the same way we send farm workers abroad, and some of the resources come back here on their behalf as well as on the country's behalf.
I agree with that.
And that's what I'm saying. That part of it, I had something is a long-standing arrangement that we have had. It has never been challenged in any way.
I agree with that, Professor.
We'll have to have a lot. This is a discussion we're going to have, because Omalo, this is something that is a whole program we're going to have.
Yeah, I am calling on the Prime Minister of Jamaica not to make an emotional decision, but make a decision based on the people he lead and their interests. Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister, for your humbleness.
Thank you so much, Omalo. And that's something we have to think about and discuss, because we are one of the things that a lot of us and talk about in terms of the way the political landscape is going globally is how we are returning to a lot of the old strategies and the old xenophobia that colored the world at a particular point in time. We thought we had moved away from it because we know that a lot of what is happening is really strategic diplomacy, but people still throwing bombs on people. You see, this is the challenge, so we have to be
One
very
of the failures
careful.
of globalization.
Yes, we need to have a program about it though, because I know a lot of people are not fully au fait with what happened in the 70s, what we came to in the 80s, and so a lot of emotion and response. So we continue talking with our callers as we go through Nationwide at 5 here, and we are looking forward to hearing from you. Do we have another caller? Wade. Welcome, Wade.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. Good evening. Congratulations on the 20th year.
Yes, thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, so I have two things to raise. The first thing would be this matter with respect to SSL and the Honorable Usain Bolt. I think it's kind of unfortunate that different political leaders seek to use that particular occurrence for political mileage. Even with respect to calling for a report to be released, knowing fully well that it is part of a criminal investigation, and it is unlikely that any government would take a step to release a report while a criminal investigation is ongoing. It just doesn't square well with me. That just doesn't make any sense. I don't know what your thoughts on that are.
I share your concern there, sir, because I cannot imagine, and we're talking about the Kroll report that was commissioned by Dr. Clark regarding the SSL matter.
Yes.
I cannot imagine any scenario where that would not become evidence material to a trial, and I can see where we're tabling that report or releasing it to the public could easily prejudice such a trial.
Yes, and so any calls for it to be released are probably heading in a direction trying to do other things. But you're right, we have to wait for the full report and the full trial to take place so that we can have some understanding of what happened and hopefully have some kind of restitution made to the persons who lost their resources, however small, because I doubt they'll get back all their money.
Yeah, the other thing is now, with respect to the presentation yesterday, right? I think it was one of his better presentations. Well, if it's 3 presentations, I think this would have been his best presentation.
That seems to be the consensus, yes.
However, there are still some holes. So, for example, if you're going to move government deposits from where they're concentrated and apparently to what you would call smaller banks, on what basis would that auction be? Would that auction be? Because, all right, put it this way. If I'm auctioning money, I am looking to place the money where I'm getting the highest interest rate, the lowest fees, and the safest possible institution.
Yes, that's essentially the case.
So if I am moving it from the place where I'm getting the highest interest rate and giving it to a bank that is offering me lower interest rates, that seems counterproductive to market movements. It just doesn't work.
But
I don't know what mechanism you would use to choose to say put the money at JMB or put the money at FCIB or First Global versus keeping the money at NCB or Scotiabank. It must be that the committee of the board of whichever institution has the money makes a decision based on where they think the money is safest and where they get the best return.
I mean, there are very different forms of deposits, and the simple fact that when it comes to me, if you're putting something to a competitive tender, as you rightfully say, you expect the best return for that competitive tender, whether it's to get the lowest price or get the best in terms of your investment portfolio. And at the end of the day, if you put a competitive process to bid, isn't economies of scale at the end of the day going to favor the two largest banks in the country? That's my understanding of how a competitive process works.
But but I think though that because I tried to listen to like all of that budget presentation yesterday, and I think where he came from in the conversation was trying to sort of encourage, I'm going to use that word, the commercial banks to be more competitive. And so because when the base interest rates were dropped at the Bank of Jamaica, the commercial banks have not responded. They are still charging us the same or probably a little more to borrow money. So he was saying, that he brought in that aspect of having them compete for government funds and government deposits because he was talking about making the commercial banking sector more competitive. There's a roundabout conversation he was having.
There's a mistake being made there because when we talk about deposits and returns, we're talking about you want higher interest rates in that case.
Yes.
So I don't know if that argument
So he's
makes
talking
sense.
about interest rates on deposits as opposed to interest rates on. So that kind of spread and that is where he was trying to make the conversation, to make that link. And I think as people are talking about a financial structure, you're making the point that doesn't sound feasible or plausible.
What the small businesses are complaining about is the interest rates being too high, which is affecting borrowing. Deposits now, when you put a deposit someplace, you want to put it someplace where you get a high interest rate, not the reverse.
So what you're saying, what you're both saying, I hear, is that the process needs to be worked out a little better, because I think in the end game, what the opposition spokesperson was trying to achieve is that borrowers, people who borrow money to buy them car, buy them house, who have been facing on their variable rate mortgages higher rates of interest, which is higher monthly payments, and haven't seen any savings come from the reduction in the interest rates, the base interest. No,
and I think we all agree there. Yes.
Right, that is really where he was heading. But I think the process that he was outlining sounds complicated, but it is something that needs to be looked at by whoever is in power. How do we encourage, and I'm using the word encourage, the banking sector to pass on these kinds of savings to the public who are buying cars, buying houses, and want to see at least a stabilizing or at least a reduction in the monthly payments? They need to see some of that.
This is my opinion.
You're either operating a free market or you're operating a structured market. You can't have it both ways.
Agreed.
So if you're going to have a free market economy, you have to allow the banks to set their rates based on the risk. I am almost sure that if just calling a name of the blue, if Musson Group is borrowing money, they're going to end up borrowing money at a different rate than if ABC Small Shop is borrowing money. But that is because the risk associated with Musson Group is less than the risk associated with ABC Small Shop.
And I mean, it should be noted that the government, by its very nature, is very risk averse. It's a very conservative thing. When we put deposits, when the government puts deposits, it does not want to risk that deposit because it's your money.
And they want to have good returns and also know that the money will not fall into a black hole and not be found after, disappear somewhere in the abyss. But there's all of that. I think that though, that in terms of, because the opposition spokesperson's own budget presentation has to be teased out in the same way we tease out the Minister of Finance's budget presentation. People demand to understand what the process is, how you're going to achieve that, how will it benefit the country, and will it impact negatively on the country's resources. So everybody wants to hear these things, and it's important.
As one of the YouTubers pointed out, develop the KYC system so people can easily move their accounts. That is in train. That is being developed. But I think what the opposition, I think almost anybody agrees, is the immediacy of it. That is a 2027, 2028 initiative, and I understand the small businesses are hurting now, and they're all trying to scramble to find a way to help the small businesses now.
Yes.
And the last point, with respect to a corporate tax break for the first 3 years of operation. What prevents, if this is the policy going forward, what prevents a small business from operating for 3 years, closing down, and then starting a new company, operating for 3 years again, close it and so on and so forth.
As again, it's one of those things that would have to be worked out on paper before it becomes feasible. But one assumes there would be some restrictions put in place as to how a business owner can operate under such a regime. One assumes.
All right. So let me share something.
Mm-hmm.
The Junior Stock Exchange, how it was set up for the first 5 years of listing, the corporation has a full tax break. For the second 5 years,
yes,
they have a half tax break.
Yes.
Right. However, if the corporation decided to delist, they would be liable for all of the taxes that they should have paid.
If they delisted in the third year or the second year?
If they delisted anytime within the first 10 years.
Okay.
Right? So in order to maintain the tax break and not be liable for it, they had to maintain the listing for it's at least 10 years. I think it's actually 15 years, if my memory serves me correctly. Right? But that was a system that was put in to a junior stock market establishment. But bear in mind that these are public companies where they have to be reporting their financials on a quarterly basis so they can be monitored. Private entities, you don't have those systems to be able to monitor a private entity to know that, okay, they're in their third year. If they all of a sudden close down, we should go and find the directors.
But you know,
it's just impractical.
But remember, you know that we have we have the suggestion, we have the proposal. But I'm sure that the opposition spokesperson on finance going forward would work out the details of how this would be managed, how it would be enforced, how it would be in a lot of ways run so that it would not result in people abusing the system and basically taking more from the country than it is giving. So I'm sure that there would be something in place because it couldn't be that.
I think sometimes though, there's a reason why things don't exist elsewhere because other people have already figured out that it just cannot work.
So there's nothing new under the sun. You adopt that.
Is in the postmodern discussion, but no, there's nothing new under the sun. But we can tweak things. Remember, we are still developing and trying to build out and get more growth. Yes,
are not new to Jamaica or a micro stock exchange, but a 3-year tax break for new corporations, just straight blanket. Ironically, this is coming from a situation where we had a minimum business tax. So now we move from minimum business tax to once you're established to now 3-year tax. It's all over the place.
Going forward, I'm sure we'll see what happens. And remember, we are steaming up towards a general election. I'm sure a lot of these things will be sorted and will be discussed and debated going further. All of these proposals, they're going to be picked apart by the pundits and by persons with a lot of the knowledge and the understanding of how it could work. So a lot of that is coming forward. I'm very sure of that.
Yeah. These guys are better than me. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And we're going to talk with another caller. Yes.
Good evening, Ian.
Hi, Ian. Good evening.
Thanks for having me here. I have a question to ask. Did the Prime Minister took that raise of salary?
You're talking about, no, he did not.
And did the opposition took it?
Yes, but he gave at least as I understand is that he then gave that portion increase to charity.
Yes.
And secondly, was there a bill that was passed by a former Prime Minister, PJ Pattis, I believe, that
pegged the retirement pension?
Pardon me?
You're talking about the pegging of the retirement pension for Prime Ministers?
Yes.
To the current salary of Prime Minister.
Yes.
To the current salary of Prime Ministers.
Current salary.
Yes.
So that means Mr. Pattis will be getting what
Mr.
Holness is getting now.
Yes, he would.
Yes.
And I think this question has come out a lot. Sorry if I'm intercepting your question, but the next Prime Minister will still have the salary that the Prime Minister currently has. So that increase that the Prime Minister issued and said he would not take, that is now binding on any future Prime Minister.
Yes.
So for Mr. Golding to take up the position of Prime Minister, he would have to take a pay cut.
So you'll be taking up the money that the current Prime Minister is getting now. Okay, I just wanted to know that one of the problems though with the PMP is the fact that they I can't listen to them, and I tell you why. They have brought forward Mr. Pattison from the Pavilion as a face to their party. So they have put forward Mr. Pattison before a budget presentation, and it has turned off many Jamaicans from the People's National Party, because I grew up in an era where when a budget is read under his administration, persons beating the table, bam, bam, bam. They have got money to borrow, new taxes, and all of that. So even listening to Julian, it was hard, because I am still hearing that banging in my head, because a new tax coming, even though he didn't say it. But just to give a little credit, the only thing I'll perhaps give credit for, and it's because it's something I always talk about, it's really the student loan where persons who are having challenge and cannot pay the full amount is deemed delinquent. So even before you go out in the work world, you have a bad credit. I have a problem with that, and I think it's not even a government issue. I think the student loan bureau is very insensitive. And one of the things we have to do as a country going forward, we have to start firing managers and people who we put to run entity who lack vision and don't use common sense. Because why would I want to give loan to students where we lend them money?
Caller, I hear you now, but sorry, we're getting the wrap-up signal, and I believe we have a bit of news that we have to deliver before 8 o'clock hits us. So I hate to cut you off. I really apologize, but time is upon us. I understand we have an update from the Minister of Transport, Darrell Vaz, regarding the NMIA fire.
I can confirm, after speaking to the Commissioner of the Fire Brigade at 7:45 p.m., that the fire has been contained to the area that it started, which is in the VIP Club Kingston, in the departure lounge. And we can say at this point that there's no major damage, and that we expect that in short order, we'll be able to resume normality at the airport. There is an issue of smoke that has penetrated the AC system. So there's smoke in a number of areas in the departure lounge. We're venting that out now, and hopefully in short order, we will resume normality. There's one flight that is still affected, British Airways, incoming flight from London, and hopefully we'll be able to land it and turn it around with a slight delay. No injuries reported to this point, and no major damage to the facility at the Norman Manley International Airport.
So there you have it, listeners, from the Minister Darrell Vaz. Fire at NMIA. He says there's been no major damage, there's been no injuries. A bit of a smoke nuisance remains, and one flight has been affected, and they hope to be back to normal operations shortly. But that's where we'll have to leave it. We're 8 o'clock. I'm going to see if I can do this as quickly as possible. Thanks to all our YouTubers. I usually call you up one by one, but I can't this evening. Thanks to our super producer Dana Davey, our technical operator Andrew the Glenn Boogs Anderson, and my producer who leads our very capable user production department, Cara Powell. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And I'm Donna Hope. Have a great weekend.
Labor rights.